The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Yeah.
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
Now, if our government and also share
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
why we need to compromise
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private
the Chiefs game against Kukune Unite Pakistan tonight. Pakistan women sitting on 188 for 2 after 37 overs against the Proteas women in the first ODI, and entries open for the 2026 Two Oceans Marathon. More details at 3:30.
September is Deaf Awareness Month, a time to celebrate the deaf community, promote inclusion, empowerment, and break communication barriers.
Wellness Talk is brought to you by MedScheme, committed to pioneering inclusive, seamless, and quality healthcare for every South African. SAFM Wellness Talk was proudly sponsored by MedScheme, creating a winning health offering through clinical innovation and trailblazing technology. At MedScheme, we believe that quality healthcare should be within everyone's reach. That drives us to deliver smarter, more accessible health administration and managed care solutions that truly serve the unique needs of our medical aid scheme clients. Through data-driven tech, value-added product integration, and a strong focus on prevention, we're innovating a future of affordable, seamless, and agile healthcare for all. Learn more about South Africa's leading health administration and managed care provider at medscheme.com.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
I hardly ever talk about entertainment on the show, and I suppose talking about someone dying is not entertainment, although he's very much in the entertainment industry. News now coming out of Hollywood is that Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. And it's interesting, you know what, we all have views. We have strong political views. We have strong socio-economic views and what drives our nation and the global politics of the day. And very much that's typical of the audience that we have here. But the reality is also that many of us do have an interest in other things like Hollywood and like actors like Robert Redford, who, you know, sometimes that word iconic is used very, very loosely. Everybody's an icon. But he has been an icon, right? And I now say it in the past tense, from the first times of the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to the Sting. And I'm trying to think about how many other movies that I've seen of him. Quite a unique style. But there it is. Robert Redford is no more. He has he's passed on at the age of 89. Now, the other issue, as we get you to listening in to the National Pulse is that there's no way this ANC story of yesterday from Cyril Ramaphosa is going to just go away in 5 minutes. It's not going to. It's dominated the conversation yesterday. It dominated it this morning. It will dominate it even further, I would expect, even today. So when we talk about what is it that moves the National Pulse, that's it. Unless there's something more dramatic. Well, I suppose there is dramatic. There's been dramatic issues with regards to Nepal and some significant changes there where I can tell you now some of the leadership accused of corruption, that simply their houses have been burned down. And then moving on to global politics, the United Nations Commission finding that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. We'll talk about that with Naeem Jina as well later on. But that's not all. There's many more. As far as the ANC is concerned, we'll talk about the reputational, I can't even say damage, just the reputational shifts that may have occurred in light of the pronouncements of Cyril Ramaphosa, the leader of the African National Congress. Well, my name's Ashraf Garda. You are so connected to the National Pulse. 3 hours, we're going to move that pulse, don't you? How do we do so? We can call in 086 000 2032, WhatsApp, text or voice notes, 30-second voice notes. Too many beyond that yesterday. That we don't play them if they're very long. 0614 104 107. And as always, you can use that hashtag, the National Pulse, when you are tweeting on the X platform, and then tag SFM Radio and certainly tag me too. So let's get to it. Yesterday, we spoke about what happened with Ramaphosa, talking effectively to the ward councillors, just under 5,000 that makes up the African National Congress. And amongst the many things he said, he praised the DA-run municipalities as a form of comparison to say, look at what they're doing versus what we're doing. Now, how should we analyze this? Kanita Hunter's certainly been following the story. I know she was there yesterday. She's a freelance journalist and a best-selling author. Kanita, I appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So you were there, firstly, I understand, in that broad auditorium when these roughly 5,000 delegates were there. How did they respond, firstly, when the president of the ANC effectively said, hey, check out the other team, they're doing a better job than us?
Yeah, I think the ANC has obviously, reacted in different ways. There was a sense of despondency from the councillors that were present, particularly because of the tone of the entire day. It started by Gwede Mantashe, flogging them publicly, saying, you sing well, but there's no capacity when it comes to councils. It then continued with the, ANC Integrity Committee Chair, ANC Integrity Committee Chair Gwede Mantashe, ANC Integrity Committee Chair Reverend Chikani, saying that ANC councillors are not connected to communities, and he really was strong in chastising them. And then the president took to the podium, continuing it, saying that the outcome of the Auditor General is so severe, and that there's no ANC led councils that are among the best performing ones when it comes to audit outcomes, and that the ANC councillors can learn a thing or two from Cape Town. Now, the problem is that the Auditor General's report is quite, serious and damning. In this case, this is for the last financial year. The president has been referring to it, but this is not a new report, and the outcomes are not suddenly, damning on the ANC. It has been consistently the case for over a decade now. You see the degradation in ANC-led councils. But the president saying, take lessons from DA-led councils has upset many people, because they're saying now that, you are confirming the DA rhetoric that is where the DA governs, it governs better.
I suppose, in light of what you said about Gwede Mantashe and Frank Chikani, that means clearly the president didn't necessarily speak of his own accord, like out of kilter. That means they were all in sync with each other. And the plan, I would think then, would be, let's tell the delegates the story as it is, that, hey, we're in trouble. Yeah?
Yeah, I think the ANC, actually, I have to run, the line is not so good, but to say that the ANC has been, for a long time trying to change the tone, that it hasn't done anything about local government, and that's what they're trying to do, but I think it will be distorted in many ways.
Okay, I know you have to run. Is there one final point you wish to make? No, I think we've just lost Conita Hunter. She just said the line just not so good, unfortunately. But he would love to have chatted to her longer about the implications of what's come out of the ANC. But by the way, we will certainly talk about it. You will talk about it too. But besides simply, and I can tell you now, yesterday, there was not a single person, well, maybe there was one, who called in who said, hey, Viva ANC, for example, that long, well-known phrase. If anything, the level of criticism of the African National Congress was pretty damning yesterday, right? And that's certainly continued. What do you make of that? Now, I say that because, I mean, if I look at it, the question marks around the ANC continues. But before I get to some of those question marks in your comments, here's one, just looking at the sound from yesterday, the ANC President Ramaphosa, and this is the point about the DA, right? Making the point that municipalities must act decisively to improve audit outcomes, and then made the reference to, other municipalities and what they're doing, and that it pained him. Just for reference, listen to this.
All the skills in the town, rather than to keep on outsourcing everything. There are certain things that you can outsource, but certainly not everything. Let us look at those things that can strengthen the municipality and make the municipality vibrant, make the municipality an oasis of knowledge, an oasis of capability, an oasis of great performance. Municipality must act decisively to improve audit outcomes. Comrades, it cannot and must not be acceptable that in our country we control a number of municipalities. It is hugely painful each time when the Auditor General comes to report to Cabinet and they put up their report, and those municipalities that do best are not ANC-controlled municipalities. And I can name it here because there's nothing wrong with competition. They are often DA-controlled municipalities. We need to ask ourselves, what is it that they are doing that is better than what we are doing? And there's nothing wrong with us saying we want to go and see what Cape Town is doing. We want to go and see what Stellenbosch is doing. How do they craft everything? We need to be moving up the ladder of being good at what we do. We cannot forever stay at the bottom. It hurts me deeply when I continue to see that our municipalities sometimes tend to move even backwards. And you are the people who can improve that. The audit outcomes are important.
That's the president of the African National Congress. 086 000 2032. Call in now, in fact. And then WhatsApp 0614 104 107. And I'll tell you what, besides other people calling in, have you been a delegate? Are you one of those approximately 4,800, just under 5,000, ward councillors, delegates as part of that ANC roll call yesterday? And how did you feel about what you just heard your president, tell you, basically getting your act together? But he was not the only one. Those voices from senior figures were more than one, you know that. So what do you make of that in terms of what it says about your party now and the future? Phumzile in Humansdorp, let's get your thoughts. Hi.
Good afternoon, Ashraf.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the listeners. Ashraf, I'm an ANC councillor, and I was there yesterday at FNB.
Are you able to speak up, Phumzile? We're so struggling to hear you, man. Yeah, if you can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, not great, but just try and speak up a bit louder, yeah?
Yeah. No, I'm saying I'm an ANC councillor, and I was there at that historic gathering yesterday. And it's a shame, let me start by saying it's a shame for the DA, in fact, to capitalize on what the president said. Because let's consider that the president says not the DA, but the administration under the DA, which means the DA might have best of the best administrators within each municipality employed by the municipality run by the DA. Let's start there. It does not mean that the DA as the party, but the DA is a council, right? So that is the first point I wanted to make. And there's nothing wrong for the president to have made that reflection. And that should not be a political scoring point for the DA. That does not exonerate the DA for its poor service delivery, especially at the main affluent areas, so to speak. Now, the president is equally correct. You need to have the best of the best in order to pass the test with the Auditor General. So I see the DA in fact running around like headless chicken, raising and what, you know. That is a total distortion. Lastly, Ashraf, we know the DA wants everything that can count.
Okay, but wait, but I mean, this is not about the DA, really speaking. Your president has actually said we are in trouble. I'm paraphrasing, and effectively, in effectively giving a comparison, as you said, whether it's DA or municipalities run by the DA. Look at what they're doing. This story is not about the DA. This is really about the ANC.
That is the fair assessment and input by the president. He is correct. But, you know, to have good people to run your finances, it's another thing. To have people not that good to run your finances, it's another thing. And the president is correct.
All right, let's leave it at that.
Of the leader of the ANC.
Okay.
He's open.
Phumzile, we're struggling to hear you all the time, so I'm going to have to leave it at that. But I think you've made your point very clear. I mean, I just wonder, what's the difference between the president saying, the DA is doing well, or the DA-run municipalities are doing well? The reality, and for all of us, when you make a statement in public, you can't control the narrative. Even as I talk to you now, when I say Robert Redford is dying, I can control how you think about him. For many people, it's like, I don't care. Or others like, shame, I'm so sad. I loved him. I can't control how you think. So when the president makes that type of comment on behalf of the ANC, he can't control how people interpret it. So to think that the DA is making capital, which they are doing, well, why wouldn't they make capital seriously of this? Let's get more thoughts on this from Chris and KG. We'll do it right after this.
September is Deaf Awareness Month, a time to celebrate the deaf community, promote inclusion, empowerment, and break communication barriers. Let's listen with our hearts and not our ears. Learn and embrace a South African sign language. Join us throughout September for commemoration events, activities that educate, connect, and inspire. Visit our website, foundationnima.org, for more information. This is an SABC-supported initiative.
You are the poster child, the biggest saver we've ever had.
I decided that I would contact OUTsurance and let them work out what they could do for me.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, big saving. 2,794 Rand a month.
That's over 33,000 Rand a year.
And it was the easiest switch ever. Real people helping real people get real deals.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What does you always get something out mean to you, Lorette?
OUTsurance made it possible for us to live our dream, to travel more with the money in our pocket that we save.
Let me know, what is it?
725. It was unbelievable. My husband, he sits there on the chair and he's just nodding his head and say, yes, yes, yes. This is really not just an advertisement. This is really real.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's, and information online.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, I need to hear more thoughts from you. I tell you what, there's a flood of people who've WhatsApped voice noted us. You can do so as well. 30 seconds max, please. 0614 104 107. Text messages as well are welcome. And of course, you can certainly call in too, right? Right, let me get some more calls. Chris in Leidenburg. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Ashraf. How are you?
I'm good indeed. What's your point?
The point is, if you look at the heart of ANC politics, it's at the municipal level, right? And I'm going to substantiate why I'm saying so. I've lived under majority ANC-controlled municipalities like Mbombela. I live under Tabatweu now. I can tell you that is where the heart of the ANC politics are, because at the municipal level, that is where patronage is dispensed. Okay, I know people who work in these municipalities whom we have chats, and they will tell me one day in the morning there will be 20, 30 CVs of people, and they'll be like, comrade, see what to do with these people. You understand? No proper advertisement, no proper budget, absolutely nothing. It's an absolute chaos in these municipalities, because that is the feeding trough of ANC politics. The voting fodder for the ANC is largely controlled in the municipalities. When they go to their national conferences, already the delegates have been chosen from these municipalities level, and that is how the voting is controlled for who goes into the highest offices of the ANC. So unless ANC really looks at themselves in the eye and say, let us do away with this comrade patronage system, this cadre deployment system, it will never work.
So here's a question. Do you not think other parties also have cadre deployment in their own form? We just don't see it as pronounced because they're not in government, okay? But ultimately, whoever are the drivers at grassroots for a party, those people are promised higher positions at a certain level. Do you think it's exclusive to the ANC?
Yeah, look, let's look at what the president of the ANC, he compares the DA and ANC, and he admits that DA municipalities are doing well. They do have cadre deployment, but why are they doing well? That's the anecdotal evidence on the table. DA is doing well with their cadre deployment. Why can't ANC do the same?
Okay, they claim they get the right people no matter what. So, Chris, I hear you. It's certainly a big challenge for the African National Congress. Chris in Leidenburg, thanks for that. More, we go to Bloemfontein as we cut crisscross the country, don't we, to try and get a sense of the pulse of a nation. KG in Bloemfontein, hello.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
It's a pleasure, man.
I was not intending to call in today because I called in yesterday, but I just want to say whether, for instance, that gentleman who called earlier on and said the DA administrators or the DA as a party or something along those lines, maybe that is just where the problem is sitting. So for 30 years, we don't want to acknowledge and accept that there is certain things that certain people are able to do, properly and everything. Like the gentleman who called now, most definitely, DA has got its own patronage and cadre deployment systems. But maybe the difference is a DA cadre, a DA deployee, when he goes into councils with a 2 liter of Coke, he only steals the cap of the Coke bottle, the red cap. That is only what he loots. He does not loot the whole bottle. Maybe that might be the difference.
Okay.
And I would strongly urge the diehards, maybe if they were to admit, not even publicly, at least privately, to say, guys, we are not doing well. They just might change their ways. Because if you keep on coming to the radio and privately and public and everywhere, refusing to admit that we are doing badly, we are not doing things the right way.
But look, the leadership is admitting.
Forever.
But the leadership's admitting they're doing badly anyway. Yeah, the leadership's already admitting that, KG, and the stats prove it.
It doesn't assist Ashraf. The leadership, what Gwenman Dashe said yesterday, and what the president said, they were spot on.
Okay.
But it does not assist. They are coming under attack now for saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pity that, with the call with Kanita Hunter that got cut short, because she was there and she did say there were many people very disgruntled in the crowds, in the audience when Ramaphosa made the comparisons with regard to others. KG, thank you for that. As far as thank you for that, KG. As far as the DA making capital of it, I mean, seriously, why wouldn't they? Like, really, why would you not do that? If somebody praises your business or institute and it happens to be a rival company, if Checker says, hey, look at how Pick n Pay is doing things, man, we should learn from them. You think Pick n Pay wouldn't make capital of it? They would do so. Talking about capital, there's a tweet from Helen Ziller. Oh, my goodness, man. This tweet has got a person running, like how you're running the marathon, and he's got a DA top, and pants, right, shorts, and all in blue, and he is absolutely the image of Cyril Ramaphosa. And that's what Helen Ziller has tweeted. Now, you can make of that what you will. Clearly, it's that type of capital. Hey, this is election time. Parties grab what they can get, don't they? Tembi in Cape Town, you're live. Go for it. What's your point?
Hi, I'm Tembi in Cape Town, and this is my first time calling.
Ah, welcome to the show. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not a politician, and I don't have knowledge, and I'm not going to claim that I have broader knowledge. However, I just got touched by the president's comment regarding the councillors. I've got a problem in Fuleni with electricity, where we are facing a problem where the informal settlement is stealing electricity, and I've been talking to this guy, trying to find solution and feedback. And I'm telling you, we don't have any feedback from these people. Even if you try and offer your help and try and get more information from them, you get nothing. And the disappointment that they say the president said this and that and they are disappointed about it. But I don't understand, why are they disappointed, and yet they can't even give, feedback to their people to entertain the problems that you are facing.
Okay, I hear that too. And I mean, you see, that's what we're hearing so often. There's been a sense of absence with regard to showing empathy. And we've heard that very often. Tembi, do call in again. Love to hear more from you. And you know what? Just picking up on that same issue of who's saying what, right? So, I mean, did you see the tweets today from Kusela Diko? She's part of the ANC NEC. She's also chair of their communication and digital, right? And she, quote tweeted a video of protesters in the Western Cape protesting against service delivery, or the lack of service delivery in the Western Cape. And in doing that, she highlighted, and what she highlighted, I think, is particularly important in terms of what she said. She said, Cape Town, under so-called good governance of the DA, I suspect the president was misled on this one. Oh, my word. Which president is she talking about? 3:30. Here's the news headlines.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, Business Unity South Africa, BUSA, says it will challenge the withdrawal of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. Messages of condolence are pouring in following the death of Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane's mother, Nolandile Mabuyane. She died this morning after a short illness, and tributes are pouring in for iconic Hollywood actor turned director Robert Redford, who has died at the age of 89. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
Tumi is our very own Minister of Sport. What's top of your agenda?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. We start things off with football this hour, where Kaizer Chiefs will be without new signings. Itiosa Ighodaro and Lebogang Maboe when they face Kukune United at FNB Stadium tonight. Ighodaro was injured in training and has not recovered on time for the top of the table clash. Meanwhile, Maboe is still recovering from an undergoing surgery. Then Sipesi Ndlovu says that this game will serve as an important measure of Chiefs' progress under their new look squad and technical team.
It is a difficult encounter, this one, because they've got so many threats that you really need to deal with them. We've got individual threats, you've got set piece threats that are coming. You also have individual skills that you really need to deal with them. But looking at how we've prepared perfectly for them, and we are looking forward to playing the game because there's a game that still needs to be played. You can never win a game without playing it. So yeah, we are looking forward to it. Not really, because this is a marathon. You need to go at your own pace, and we are focusing on ourselves right now until probably later in the league.
Well, it's not the only fixture of the day. Siwelele our way to Durban City and Chippa United host Orbit College. Elsewhere, the UEFA Champions League takes centre stage tonight, and Tottenham Hotspur's manager Thomas Frank says that he's looking forward to Spurs kicking off their campaign against Villarreal this evening. The match against Villarreal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium marks Frank's first ever Champions League tie after a successful career that saw him lead Brentford to the Premier League, and Frank's only previous European experience came with Brøndby in the Europa League qualifiers.
I saw it from the outside last year. Now I need to try it and live it. For now I think it looks interesting and promising. I think no matter where the format, it's a Champions League game tomorrow. We're looking forward to that, and we'll do everything we can to win it.
Do you have an idea of how many points you'll need to get through?
I don't focus on that. I focus on one thing. Let's see if we can beat Villarreal tomorrow. That's the most important thing. After that, we're playing, I can't remember, Brighton, I think, and then, one game at a time.
Well, in other selected fixtures, Arsenal are away to Athletic Club, Real Madrid host Marseille, and another big one, Juventus hosting Borussia Dortmund. Then in cricket on the go, Pakistan women are currently sitting on 223 for 3 after 43 overs. This is against South Africa women in their first ODI between the nations. Pakistan won the toss, electing to bat first, with Ayabonga Kaka, the one that took the first 2 wickets so far, with figures of 2 for 25. Then in rugby, New Zealand scrum half Noah Hotham has been ruled out of the final rugby championship matches against Australia. This is after having surgery on a broken fibula in another blow to the All Blacks halfback stocks. Hotham, who suffered a high ankle sprain during the France series, lasted only 9 minutes on his return to the playing field in the record 43-10 defeat to South Africa last Saturday before coming off following a clash with Louis de Jager. The 22-year-old posted an X-ray scan on social media showing a clean break in his fibula just above his left ankle. Then in Olympic news, India's sport is battling to shake off its reputation for being one of the world's worst doping offenders as the country pushes an ambitious bid to host the 2036 Olympics. Now, the International Olympic Committee has raised concerns about the number of Indian competitors taking performance-enhancing drugs, and so too has the country's best-known athlete. The 2021 Olympic javelin champion, Neeraj Chopra, made a blunt admission earlier this year. Finally, in marathon news, entries are open for the Two Oceans Marathon, which takes place on the 11th of April, which is the ultra marathon, and then on the 12th of April it's the half marathon. Entries for both races will be managed through a ballot system draw, with the first phase opening yesterday. And according to Michael Mayer, who is the manager of Stillwater Sports, few races in the world carry the heritage, prestige and emotion of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. It is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Lots to debate, but we'll do it later on. Yeah.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in Johannesburg, slow moving towards Crown Interchange, and SKM Pasleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has...
Funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday? The Nedbank IMC, which is Africa's biggest marketing conference, right? And the SABC is proud to partner with the Nedbank IMC for that conference. So one day, 25 top speakers, 6 of them global keynotes, and the theme this year is Marketing is Business. So the conference takes place on the 18th of September in person in Johannesburg or online. And to book, you can do so on the website, which is www.imcconference.com. imcconference.com. Marketing is business.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
So United Nations Commission finding says Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. We'll talk to Naeem Jina about that just now. But in the meantime, there's also political turmoil in Nepal, right? And it is the type. There's been anti-corruption protests that effectively toppled Nepal's government, right? So what actually happened? What's the backstory? What's the position now? Musa Mdunge is a political analyst and PhD candidate based at the University of Dundee in Scotland. Musa, as always, good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Right. So first of all, what is the state of Nepal right now? What's the position?
Well, look, currently the violence due to the protests and the government reaction, there has been sort of a trickle, down. It has slowed down a bit, especially with the announcement of the new Prime Minister, the former Chief Justice of the country, who now takes over. But unfortunately, the situation still remains quite tense. Especially if you think of the Indian response. They've tightened their border response on their border with Nepal, and negotiations or political negotiations rather continue at this point.
Okay, so let's just go a step back then in terms of what happened. What is it that so angered so many people in Nepal to the point where protests turned violent?
Well, the government of Nepal introduced new legislation which would require, social media companies to register, and that registration process had not been undertaken. And this suspension happened on the 4th of September this year. And, Nepal is a very interesting country because it's a country where the majority of its population depend, for example, on remittance income that comes from those who live outside of the country. About 2 million Nepalese live outside of the country. Just in 2023, for example, 700,000 left Nepal to seek job opportunities overseas. So you can imagine a process such as this, where the government legislation has also impacted the ability of remittance flows in the country, would raise protests, particularly from the Gen Zs, who see about 20% unemployment rate among the youth. So they are quite impacted, and that is why these particular protests have been interesting from that perspective, because it is a protest largely led by Generation Z in terms of this particular protest.
And I take it, having started, often what sparks off a protest may not be what's the big issue. So what may have sparked it off is the issue of the registration of social media, but then it quickly turned to, anti-corruption protests. Tell me more about that.
Yes, so I mean, this is a country which has a high level of corruption. Depending on which stats you look at, which rankings you look at, Nepal is always ranked among the most corrupt in terms of government corruption, and that has impacted this country where, as I said, the majority of the population depend on remittance because the economy is just not working. And you can just imagine a country like this that is next to India. You would imagine being next to a country of that size and major economy where you have major relations would have had benefits. But for a country like Nepal, it doesn't seem to be the case. As I said, unemployment sitting at about 20%. In fact, remittance plays about 33% of the economy. And a reduction in that has been linked to the issues around corruption. And of course, countries that face high corruption, especially in the global south, it impacts the ability to attract investment, or where there is investment, for that investment to move in the right areas. Case in point, Venezuela, for example, is a good example of that.
And in terms of turning violent, I mean, I certainly saw, protests where they'd identified leaders of Nepal and effectively burned their houses down, where some of those leaders had to plead for mercy, but that mercy was not forthcoming.
Yes, it has been the case. When you consider the harsh response that the government has placed in terms of this, the failure of the government to respond to the needs of the people. This is a country where average households earn about $1,400 per year, and yet the cost of living, especially when you think about a year that we are experiencing with Donald Trump's trade policies, right, impacting inflation prices all over the world, a country like Nepal is quite impacted. And so you are dealing with a country where unemployment is up, the cost of living is up. Government response has been quite slow in terms of those issues, but in terms of brutally, bringing down these protests has been quite strong. And that then raises questions about where the government places its political will in terms of dealing with the issues as raised by the people, particularly young people who are the future of that country, or in terms of maintaining their own power. And it seems like the latter seems to be the case in point.
So now that the government has been toppled, so who's leading the country now?
Okay, so the current leader of the country, the former Chief Justice of Nepal. I'll just get you the name. I'm so sorry.
It will come. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It will, yeah. So the former Chief Justice is the current Prime Minister of the country. But this is until elections are called next year. So Nepal will go to elections in about March latest next year, where then we expect a new government or a permanent government to then be elected. But for now, it seems like, as I said, protests are slowing down, and that shows some sort of a support both for this new prime minister, but there's a broader political support even among opposition parties, which are also starting to bend towards this.
And has there been international reaction regarding this?
Certainly there has been international reaction. Both in Nepal's neighbors, Bangladesh as well as India, have responded. The Department of External Affairs, in fact, has said that it is monitoring the situation currently, but hasn't taken any sort of definitive steps against the government, except for strengthening their own border controls at this particular moment.
Just the last thing, I mean, in your assessment, right, as somebody who looks at political, shifts in the world, what for you is the big takeout from this issue that we can all learn in South Africa, on the African continent, in the USA, in the UK, in the Middle East, wherever?
Oh man, that's a lovely question, and my answer is simple. It's the economy, stupid. As James Cleverly, the former campaign manager of Bill Clinton, said in the 1992 election. And it is a message for South Africa, a message for the United States, a message for us all and leaders to deal with the issues that really matter to the people, which is issues around service delivery, around the economy, around ensuring that the interests of people are met. And I think this is what this particular protest is a lesson to, particularly us in South Africa, where we do have a huge challenge of youth unemployment at about 60%. It is unsustainable. And we need to start seeing, effective interventions by the state to deal with the economy to ensure that young people are able to meet their dreams and aspirations. Otherwise, tomorrow we may be the Nepal that is spoken about.
Keep an eye on the economy and how it impacts people. Appreciate your time. I think that's a very, very important lesson. And I would think that politicians know that even in our country anyway. Will they be listening? We'll see. Musa Mdunge, appreciate your time as always. Political analyst, PhD candidate at the University of Dundee in Scotland. Thank you for your time here on the National Pulse. Reaction from you regarding Nepal. You may have a sense of some of the thoughts and the goings on in that country, which really I think is straddled between India on the one side, China on the other, Bangladesh on the other. Quite a unique position they are in, right? But there we are. Thoughts there. What about the developments regarding the Middle East, in particular Israel? Well, the UN has a position on that. The UN Commission has. We'll talk to Naeem Jinnah about it after this.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, let's talk about what's happened in the Middle East, in particular with regard to Israel and its relationship with Palestine, right? So in a landmark report, that's just been released, the United Nations Independent International Commission of Inquiry. I think the wording is important here. UN's Independent International Commission of Inquiry has found that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The commission concluded that Israel's forces committed 4 of the 5 genocidal acts as defined by the 1948 conventions. Naturally, there's been denials from Israel, but let's try and understand the story behind the story here with Naeem Jinnah, senior researcher at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection. Naeem, as always, good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
Thanks, Ashraf.
Thank you. Now, this finding, I mean, many people in the world say, well, we know that anyway, right? How much weight does this finding have?
Well, it has a lot of moral weight. And in a sense, millions of people on the streets of the world for the past year and a half have been saying that there's a genocide taking place. And this, if they needed vindication for that view, this vindicates that. In terms of practical, concrete difference that it makes on the ground, I think very little. Clearly, the governments of the world are not interested. They've not been interested enough to ensure that the ICJ's provisional measures issued a few times last year would be imposed on Israel, or the ICJ ruling in a different matter, not the South African matter, also early last year, would be imposed. So I don't think that this is going to make that much of a difference to these governments.
Okay, and just help us understand between, what is the difference between an independent United Nations inquiry and the ICJ?
So the ICJ is a court, and it has it has status with the United Nations. It's the United Nations Court, and regarded as the World Court, and all member states of the United Nations are subject to it. This commission was set up by the Human Rights Council, which is also a structure of the United States. But it depends
of the United Nations, yeah?
Of the United Nations.
Right. Yeah.
But it depends on membership. So the U.S., for example, has withdrawn from the Human Rights Council. This particular commission was set up in 2021, and has been attacked and criticized and disparaged by the US and Israel since it was set up. So the rulings of the International Court of Justice supposedly apply to all members of the United Nations, but the findings of this commission are just that, findings of a commission. They don't necessarily legally apply or can't be imposed unless particular governments or the United Nations Security Council decides to impose it.
Okay, so no surprise then that Israel has effectively, they've just dismissed it, right, haven't they?
They've dismissed it. They said that the commission is a spokesperson for Hamas, but then, they've also called the UN Secretary General a terrorist, and the UN Security Council enabling terrorism. And the Israeli ambassador to the UN a month or so ago said that the UN building in New York should be bombed. So, yeah.
So what then do we make of this next? I mean, we know the world continues to be very, very polarized on this particular issue, with massive support, growing support for the Palestinian cause, but still significant members of the world leaders and others who are steadfast in backing Israel no matter what. What then should we make of this going forward?
So I'm not sure that I agree with your second contention, Ashraf, because clearly the situation right now is that there is one government which is determined to back Israel, and that is the United States. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have European governments who are stepping back. So Germany, for example, which still is the second largest supplier of weapons to Israel, is now singing a slightly different tune than it was a year ago, 6 months ago. Other European states, Spain and Ireland, have signed on to South Africa's case at the ICJ. France is leading this, for whatever I don't think it's worth much, but nevertheless, leading this campaign to support a two-state solution and recognize the Palestinian state. So the only country that is firmly behind Israel is the United States. In terms of the population, people of the world, the vast majority is saying that this is a genocide and is supporting the Palestinians. I mean, in the U.S. itself, more than 60% in recent polls of Americans are saying that they support not the Palestinians, are saying that they support Hamas. So the vast majority of the world's people is supporting the Palestinian people, and it's just the government of the United States that's holding back the tide of history and preventing any just resolution to this 8-decade-long occupation and colonization.
And that point about the USA, the sheer weight of the USA and its strategic position, certainly even from the United Nations Security Council veto, means nothing substantial can shift. Can it without the USA?
Not in the United Nations Security Council, no, because it will continually veto any action against Israel. But there is another mechanism which, for some strange reason, has not been used yet. There's a mechanism called Uniting for Peace in the United Nations, which can be used if the United Nations Security Council is unable to agree on a particular matter. It goes to the General Assembly under the Uniting for Peace doctrine, and if the majority of the UN General Assembly then make a decision, that decision has to be applied or implemented. So I hope that some governments are going to start a move towards this now that the General Assembly is open. South Africa, for example, saying that it's a genocide in the ICJ, but should be invoking the Uniting for Peace doctrine to impose some kind of action against Israel. That is possible. Whether it's likely, I don't know.
Interesting you bring up the South African example, and we go back to, apartheid South Africa, and at some stage, never mind what the Margaret Thatchers of the world and others may have said about, the ANC and Nelson Mandela, there was this wave upon wave of opposition to what they felt in support of, opposition to apartheid, to the point it hit a point of no return. Do you see that happening? That means, where ultimately political leadership of the world, and you mentioned the European countries too, have really no choice faced against the massive weight of public protests around the world?
I think we are getting there. We're getting there quite fast. I believe that the only reason that France and other European countries have made a move towards this thing of recognizing a Palestinian state is because they saw the writing on the street. Sorry to mix my metaphors. So I think we're getting there. Referring to the South African case, within the United Nations, there was a strong kind of move, and the move didn't come initially from powerful governments. It came from African states, for example. It came from civil society. And the two together forced the formation of the UN Special Committee Against Apartheid, which did a lot in the process of isolating the apartheid state and leading to the end of apartheid. And hopefully, and South Africa is looking at that option as well. Hopefully, a similar structure can be set up in the UN and begin that process and move. The governments of the United States and European states, etc., will probably be the last ones to fall in line, but they'll have to if the opinion is that strong.
Just the last thing, there was that meeting of, and correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the title, whether it's the Arab and Islamic Conference, the groups of people belonging to that region who got together, responding to the attack on in Doha, in Qatar. What came out of that? Anything significant, keeping in mind what comes across as an ambivalent position with the Arab states regarding their dealings with Israel?
Yeah, so it was a kind of joint meeting of the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic States. They came out with some good statements in terms of supporting each other against force and violence and whatever. The real measure of the success of the meeting, of course, is what they do about it. At the moment, there's no indication about what they will do. But I do believe that the attack on Qatar has been a wake-up call for everyone in the region. And there's a sense among many, among some not, like the UAE, is still pro-Israeli, pro-American. But there's a sense among many in the region that they can no longer hold the position that the United States guarantees their security, that the United States, in fact, is now undermining their security. And so I don't think anything will happen immediately, but I think that things are unfolding in that direction.
We ought to use time. I mean, we've been talking about this issue, I think not just you and I, but others, for decades on end. What for you would be the one sign you would want to look out for next? A kind of unanimous resolution by various governments that they are going to take strong action. Firstly, to ensure that aid gets into Gaza, no matter what, and that means that facing down the Israeli army in making sure that happens, and then putting into place a process that leads to the end of the occupation. And that's where you can leave it. Naim Jina, appreciate your time and thanks for those insights. Naim is a senior researcher at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection. Fascinating thoughts, important conversations, and I certainly welcome your thoughts on this issue as well, in terms of what for you are the big takeouts that's come out of that conversation. Let's get the news now. It's 4 o'clock. Here's Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, Musa criticizes Minister Dawo's decision on Credit Act, and King Mswati wishes Malawi successful elections. For SFM News, I'm Ondalambana, and a very good day. Business Unity South Africa, Musa, says it will challenge the withdrawal of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stow's decision was informed by the more than 20,000 submissions opposed to the regulations. The rejection was sparked by a sub-regulation that would permit registered credit bureaus to receive consumer credit information from, among others, educational institutions. Critics said this provision would result in graduates being blacklisted from loans and jobs. Busa CEO Kulekani Mate has accused the minister of yielding to political pressure.
That is why we're saying that the regulations that were really intended to make it easy for banks and other credit providers to lend to SMEs were withdrawn on the back of something that's not what was being introduced.
The murder case of Sibusiso Zita, convicted of murdering pastry chef Thembekile Litlape, has been postponed to Thursday by the High Court in Johannesburg. This is to allow the court more time to go through the victim impact report. Zita was arrested after Litlape's lifeless body was discovered at their place of residence in Fourways, north of Johannesburg, last year. Her father, former Health Professions Council of South Africa President and Action SA Member of Parliament, Dr. Hoshi Litlape, found her body. Zita pleaded guilty to the murder, where he admitted to stabbing her multiple times during an argument. Judge Shanaz Mia rolled over the matter.
The matter is then postponed to the 18th of September 2025 for sentence in the matter. Evidence to be led in that regard. Accusers in custody, no bail, will proceed in court 4B at 10. Court adjourns.
Messages of condolence are pouring in following the death of Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane's mother, Nolandile Mabuyane. She died this morning after a short illness. The ANC in the province conveyed its condolences to the Mabuyane family. ANC Provincial Head of Communications, Gift Ngondi.
Extend our deepest condolences to Comrade Mabuyane and the family on the passing of this much-loved matriarch. May they find strength to cope with the difficulty that this end of an era brings to the family. Our thoughts and prayers are with family at this difficult time. May your soul rest in eternal peace.
Incoming chairperson of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defence and Security Cooperation, King Mswati III, has wished Malawi successful and peaceful elections. President Lazarus Chakwera is seeking re-election with a fierce contestation from former Presidents Peter Mutharika and Joyce Banda and other 14 presidential candidates. Over 7 million people are registered to vote. Kylie Khumalo has more.
The incoming chairperson of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defence and Security Cooperation, King Mswati III, has called on eligible Malawans to go and vote. He says political leaders and supporters must respect the will of the people. The regional bloc has deployed its electoral observation mission in Lilongwe, headed by former Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini, Themba Masuku. Malawi has a long-standing tradition of peace and stability. King Mswati III is confident that during and in the aftermath of these elections, Malawi will maintain its reputation as a peaceful nation. Kylie Khumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Tributes are pouring in for iconic Hollywood actor turned director Robert Redford, who has died at the age of 89. Redford received numerous awards over his decades-long and storied career, including the Academy Award, a BAFTA, Golden Globes and a Kennedy Center honor. He was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Sharon Bryce Pease reports.
Redford also created the Sundance Film Festival in Utah that became the largest festival for independent films in the United States. He was a leading man in films in the late 60s, such as Barefoot in the Park and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, while he starred in 70s hits The Way We Were, All the President's Men, and The Electric Horseman. He made his directorial debut with Ordinary People in 1980, which won 4 Academy Awards. He received a Kennedy Center honor in 2005 for his lifetime contributions to American culture. Redford died at his home in Provo, Utah, Tuesday. He was 89. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
Recapping the top story, Business Unity South Africa, BUSA, says it will challenge the withdrawal of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. I'm Ondulambana for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
In sports this hour, Blanche praises Cricket South Africa on women's investment. Nabi expects fine margins to decide Sekhukhune showdown. And Swimming South Africa needs 85 million rand to prepare team for 2028 and 2032 Olympics. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Samran.
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people?
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources
about prices of business and what you may charge for certain things or the work that you do, right? And whether you're right and you're pitching too high or too low, and often when you have a business plan idea, you want to start and you don't start because it's not right, and you defer and you defer and you defer. But think about this one, right? What is the price of doing nothing? What does it cost you? What is the price of doing nothing? And I'm afraid many of us are guilty of that, the price of doing nothing. Think about that. In the meantime, this is something that you can do, or you ought to be doing. The Spar Baby Proteas will take part in the Netball World Youth Cup 2025 in Gibraltar from the 19th up to the 28th of September. So these are our rising stars. Hashtag Together We Rise. And it's brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
I'll tell you what, it's been an eventful day as we expect you on the National Pulse, from the issues in Nepal to the that UN Commission finding on genocide finding against Israel, to amongst other things, the ongoing reaction regarding the ANC and what Ramaphosa said or did not say, and then the DA response, and of course the latest one I just mentioned. Check it out. I've tweeted it on my Twitter profile, where Helen Ziller's got this picture of Cyril Ramaphosa running like a marathon in full DA gear. Now it's powerful in its symbolism, isn't it? So let's get further reaction. We've certainly had people calling in, and some of the people saying no. The point made was that Ramaphosa didn't say the DA is doing a better job. He said DA-run councils maybe doing a better job. Now you can make of that what you will. Either way, what do we make of that? We'll get further reaction later on in terms of when there are public pronouncements, the impact on the reputation, good or bad, by leadership, right? But what about the ANC themselves? Now, Sibongile Besani is the ANC NEC member, and we thought let's connect with Sibongile to get another perspective from an insider. Much appreciate your time here on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I mean, the story has been well documented. We'd have to go through it all, but it certainly started with Ramaphosa making comparisons to, ANC-led councils versus DA-led councils. What's your reaction by, two things, what he said and what has been the reaction on what he said by people within the ANC and also people outside the ANC, like people calling in to talk shows like this?
Look, Ashraf, what the president said confirms the fact that the ANC is a learning organization. And the fact that he made reference to the DA about its governance, and this was with specific reference to the fact that a number of DA municipalities do get good audit reports. So those are facts. So we're not in the game of denialism or cheap politicking. Those are facts, and he was encouraging the members to draw some lessons from there. And that, I must emphasize, does not absolve the DA from the fact that from its poor running, how it handles issues in Langa, in Kailicha, even the fact that in Tshwane it didn't have a very good performance. But the fact is, at the point when the president was saying this, he was trying to make a point that as a learning organization and as inspired by Oliver Tambo, former president of the ANC, that you can also learn from your erstwhile opponents. That is that. And I think I need to say, I think it will only be in South Africa where you say we can learn from people who we do not necessarily agree with. That represents weakness or it's a reputational risk. I think it is only in South Africa where learning is regarded as something that is negative.
Now, here's an important question. Would you agree that whatever the president said, he didn't just wake up, get on a platform and said what he wants. He had to be in sync with the leadership of the ANC and vice versa, meaning that position, which may well state, as you said, statistically it's a fact, right? But to pronounce on it, that there had to be sufficient consensus for him to say that as part of an ANC plan to, galvanize the ANC at local government level.
The ANC, the NEC also is not in the game of denialism. I must emphasize that. If you remember, we are the only party which came with a diagnostic report in 2017. That diagnostic report was speaking to the weaknesses of the ANC. And now, while at the moment where we provide solutions to the challenges that we have been faced with, we are beginning to respond to them, we are beginning to give solutions to those challenges that we have diagnosed. And part of what we assess is that we can learn one or two things from some of our people. That does not make them perfect. We are not in the game of cheap politicking. We are a learning organization that can concede some of the weaknesses, but that can also learn from others.
Yeah,
so
I think that's fair enough.
The point I'm making is that is in sync with the ANC. Because it is in the nature of the ANC to self-reflect. It is in the nature of the ANC to learn from the environment within which it exists. Okay. That is why it is President Tambo himself, during the height of apartheid, who said you can learn a thing or two from the Nationalist Party in the 80s.
Point taken, right. Now, one of the things that came through, because we've had callers, we've had councillors calling, and ANC councillors were attending yesterday's, event, right? And obviously being critical of how the story has been interpreted. Now, the point that I made to them, and I'm making to you, is that, yes, you've been, as in the ANC, you've been honest, you've been brutally honest with the position. You're not in the business of fabricating things. So fine, I get that. But once it gets put out in the public arena, as even you and I talk now, it is very difficult to control the narrative, meaning you can't truly control how people interpret what you say. And are you therefore surprised when the president effectively stating a statistical fact has now been interpreted as coming across as saying, hey, let's admire the DA in terms of what they're doing?
Look, the point here is the president made reference to some good work where the DA is strong on, especially with regards to the Auditor General's report and so on. And we can learn a thing or two there. Now, if people twist the story, that is so unfortunate, because it means there are people who do not want the ANC to learn. Even the DA has he has made some lessons from us. All this local government environment where you have SALGA, these are lessons that were brought to the fore, the policies, institutions that were brought to the fore by the ANC, and they are using some of the policies that were crafted under the stewardship of the ANC. There is nothing wrong there when we learn from each other. In fact, institutions like SALGA have been created for the same reason that municipalities, irrespective of who is in charge, they can learn from one another. It would be unfortunate if people say, no, because I differ with you, there's nothing I can learn from you. It would be unfortunate. Nobody outgrows learning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair enough.
The other thing, it's not about the DA being perfect, but it is about the DA. That's what the president was saying, having some advantage, leverage there, and we can learn something. But that does not absolve the DA from its veil of incompetence in areas like Langa, even in Tshwane. for 8 years, it failed there. But we're focusing on this, but the president was focusing on this particular area.
Are you surprised that the DA has made capital of this?
No, we're not surprised because DA is engaged in cheap politicking. And unfortunately, we are not engaged in that twisted logic. We were just being confronted with some facts. In fact, the DA will deny that it is doing bad in Langa. It is disservicing people of Langa. The DA would deny that it would it performed very bad in Tshwane. It would deny that. That is its nature. But we are not. We're bigger than that. We're in the business of serving the people truthfully, honestly. This is some of our values and principles of the ANC, that whenever we're confronted with facts, we concede, we reflect, and we move on.
How, in terms of reflecting, look, clearly the DA is going to make capital. I made the point earlier that I'd be surprised if someone didn't. Now, though, the question is, how do they
it's
make
not capital? It is cheap politicking, twisted logic. They are trying to make a statement that does not portray them as perfect.
Yeah, but they will simply quote the president.
When you say capital, you are sanitizing it. It's cheap politicking.
Well, I'm looking at it how people have observed it, and they've picked up on the line.
Irrespective of who looks at it, it is cheap politicking, twisted logic. Okay. But we are dealing with facts. If 10 municipalities of the DA have a clean audit, we're not going to say they didn't get it.
No, I hear that, but I'm saying again that, you and I can't control the narrative in the public spaces. And the narrative is that, intended or otherwise, the president of the African National Congress, in being very honest about the state of play of ANC-led councils versus the DA-led councils, said what he said, and the DA has taken advantage of his comparison, a favorable comparison of the DA, by effectively talking up, hey, look at what the president of that party is saying. I'm saying to you, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm saying political parties do that.
Yeah, they will do that, but it does not mean that we can't see when it is cheap politicking. That it won't, like you say, won't control the narrative, but obviously the narrative is created for good or bad reasons, But we can see that the DA, for instance, there's been flurry. It is engaged now in a flurry of cheap politicking.
Okay.
So we can't control it, but we have a responsibility, like I am here to explain where we come from.
All right. Just the last thing. There's a very interesting tweet from none other than Kusela Diko, who certainly knows all about the digital space. In a tweet, she says, and of course there's a picture of protesters at Olympia Park in Goodwood in Cape Town, right? Again, the issues of service delivery. It goes back over land issues of 2023. But her tweet says, Cape Town under so-called good governance of the DA. Fine, that's full stop. The next sentence, I suspect the president was misled on this one. What do you make of that?
No, I can't make anything of it. I think it is a response to a narrative of cheap politicking. I can't make much of it. It's a response to that, because now that we have been bombarded with cheap politicking, we are now compelled again to state another truth that we know, that in as much as we have seen you with this, we have stated that you have this leverage. Now you want to project yourself as the DA something perfect. Now we're responding to that we must remind you that we're acknowledging this where you have a strength, but we know for a fact that the other truth is that in Langa, in Khayelitsha, you are presiding over underdevelopment, especially of the African people.
Okay, just the last thing before I let you go. So the president of the ANC has said what he has said, right? What came through in terms of what the ANC needs to be doing next? Because clearly you are in a battle to convince people to vote for you in that upcoming local government election, keeping in mind the president has made the comparison, and in the comparison he's been very clear that in fact we've messed up versus the DA at so many levels. So what's come through in terms of what the ANC needs to be doing next?
But the president didn't say we messed up compared to the DA at so many levels. He made reference to where the DA had a good story to say. He made reference to that. He acknowledged that. Okay. But what is much more important, the meeting yesterday was not about the DA. It was about saying, how do we move forward? We have adopted 6 pillars in this regard on how we have to improve our performance, especially with regard to service delivery and issues of local economic development, and even dealing with issues of corruption. So whilst it was not the first time, the president was providing marching orders, and we anchored the message on the 6 pillars that we have adopted in moving forward to ensure that we improve where we have limitations and shortcomings.
Okay, just that last thing. Point taken. Just that last thing. What's the one thing the ANC, I need to say ANC, what's the one thing the ANC has got to get right very, very quickly?
Look, there are 6 pillars. The first one, if you look at that, it's about service delivery. We have to get it right. We have to make sure that the gains that we've made, the infrastructure of water, of electricity that we have put in place, we continue to get it right. Remember, there are instances where there is that infrastructure, but that infrastructure has not been well maintained. We need to maintain it.
Okay.
So when it comes to service delivery, we've got to be uncompromising. Among those 6 pillars, service delivery is at the top. Even fighting crime is at the top.
All right. Let's leave it at that. Service delivery. Sibongile Besani, the ANC NEC member, much appreciate your insights shared here on The National Pulse.
Around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just
conversation we have here on the show, and the way to find the podcast is quite simple. Go to the website safm.co.za, get to it, listen to it, comment about it, share it with your friends and on your social on your networks. Okay, great if you do just that. Let's talk about this now, the annual Future of Work National Dialogue. So we talk about national dialogue so often, but what about the Future of Work National Dialogue? Well, the advancement of technology has enabled an opportunity for industries to innovate and to be agile within the 4th Industrial Revolution. Now, what does all this mean? And there's more. Let's talk about it, because what's taking place coming up soon, in fact, from the 1st of October, is the Future of Work National Dialogue. Tseliso Motlomi is with me, Senior Director at the Tshwane University of Technology's Institute for the Future of Work. Appreciate your time here on the National Pulse. Yeah, do we have you there? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, much appreciate your time. Right. So I suppose, the issue of future of work is critically important in a country like ours, where in fact those who are unemployed those that are employed are shrinking, and the numbers, and those who are unemployed, those numbers are just growing.
Yeah, I think it's a critical aspect to engage on. Last year, around this time, I had a discussion with you around the concept, as we were then having the discussion around how do we make the free trade agreement to be alive through collaboration. And this year, we will be dealing with the issue around the intersection of policy and innovation, which would then be talking around the space of the future of work. And the main purpose for this is, once again, to bring the government, academia, the industry, and the civil society under the same roof, to then be looking at the policies that we have as a country, and to ask ourselves critically if those policies that we have, especially around the science, technology, and innovation, to look at, are they making us globally competitive? Are they making us to preserve jobs? Are they making us to create new jobs?
Now, interesting, this conversation about the future of work, national dialogue, comes at a time when we are debating the merits of the other national dialogue, right? I mean, I just found it quite a coincidence, right? How important then is this future of work national dialogue?
Look, it is very critical. Once again, the Tshwane University of Technology, in developing the concept, it was in response to the problem that we have, which is the problem of graduate unemployment and graduate unemployability or employability. And therefore, in trying to deal with that problem, we needed to understand exactly what the industry is doing so that we could influence the curriculum. But we also then want to understand the policies that we have, and in order to influence them for the better.
And tell me more about, I mean, what is actually going to be, discussed, tabled at the conference?
One of on the first day, Ashraf, we will be looking at the artificial intelligence for sustainable development, which is a topic that is very hot within the space of the United Nations and also within the space of the G20. And looking at AI, we are looking at the challenges it poses. We are also then looking at the opportunities it offers. And number three, we are also then saying, how do we leverage on those opportunities to make sure that Africa and South Africa itself is globally competitive. Then on the same day, we'll also then be looking on the science, technology, and innovation policies, looking at how much do they make us globally competitive. Then on the second day, we will then be looking at what are the interventions that the industry has, the interventions that the government has around making us as a country to become globally competitive.
What then is your assessment regarding South Africa right now? I mean, you use the word globally competitive maybe 2-3 times, and it's critical, right? Because for us to be globally competitive, we have to be competitive certainly at a national level as a first place, right? So in terms of our ability as a country to match our skills versus problem solving in our country right now, how do we measure up?
Unfortunately, we don't measure up, Ashraf. Recently, there has been a big outcry, especially with the geopolitical discourse, when the U.S. start coming with the issues around the tariffs. The question, the rhetoric has been about us then getting involved in the African market. Now, the question would then be, do we have that capacity? So in order to become globally competitive, with the dialogue, we are then asking, having a critical question to say, are we actually, skills-wise, are we there? From the perspective of technology and innovation, are we there? And if we are not, what prohibits us to be there? And also then what is it that we can do that would then propel us to become globally competitive?
So therefore, to conclude then, what for us, amongst the many things that you've already said, right, what's the most urgent challenge that needs addressing that will be tabled at the conference in October?
The most urgent thing is around the skills, which basically spans from the current labor force that is there. How do we make sure that we reskill, upskill them to make sure that we become globally competitive through them? We are then also looking at those who are not in employment. How do we work in making sure that we give them the skills that would make them employable? And we are also then looking at those who are in the institutions of higher learning to then be saying what kind of skills that they need to make them competitive in the labor market, and also then the kind of technologies that we need to tune out as a country to give us that competitive edge.
Well, I appreciate your time, Tseliso Motlomi, and I think we all know it. I certainly talk about a champion nation. We've got to get it right, and we can't do that if we are not globally competitive, because I mean that phrase of, build local, sell global will not happen if what we build is not good enough to solve the global problems of the world. Much appreciate your time. Looking forward to what comes out of what I think is a really important conference, the 4th annual Future of Work National Dialogue, happening in Pretoria on the first week of October. Let's get the news headlines. Here's Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, 2 people are feared dead in Masebudule near Zerast in Northwest amid mounting reports of illegal mining and violent disputes over mining rights. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development says resources have been allocated to the Molopo Magistrate Court's maintenance unit in Mahikeng in Northwest amid allegations of a backlog in maintenance order cases. And a court in Kenya has issued an arrest warrant for a British national accused of murdering a 21-year-old woman in the northern town of Nanyuki, where the British Army has a military base. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg House.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 southbound in Edenville, a stationary truck reported near Moederfontein Road. On the N1 southbound in Four Ways, queuing traffic towards Winnie Mandela Drive and Daspoort Tunnel in Pretoria, queuing at the tunnel. In KZN, the N3 westbound has a stationary truck reported at Ashburton, and on the N3 westbound in Hammersdale, a stationary truck after Cliffdale, causing heavy delays. In Cape Town, the M3 Philip Gosana Drive outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend. The N1 outbound has a stationary truck reported before Yiptiaga Drive, and on Main Road outbound in Observatory slow moving traffic towards the N2 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
Right, Chubby, you've got what? You've got cricket, you've got football, rugby. What else? What's missing? Would you tell me what are we going to start with?
Let's start off with cricket, where former Proteas woman batter Claire Terblanche says that Cricket South Africa deserves full credit for the growth of women's game in the country and for making sure that women cricketers are fully professionalized. Terblanche made her debut for the senior national team back in 2003 and played until 2009 and did not have the privilege of being contracted, as that was only introduced in 2013.
Yeah, and I think when that came to fruition, that was actually, even though not being a part of it, it was actually such a proud moment to see the progression of the women's game. And then when we speak even into a domestic sense, where Hollywood Bets, they are, title sponsor of the domestic league. So seeing that happen. So there are key moments in the most current history that has happened that just proves how much CSA is investing into women's cricket and this team as well.
Well, let me keep you up to date with live cricket between Pakistan women and the Proteas women. South Africa currently sitting on 4 for no loss in the first over. Pakistan posted 255 for 4 in the 50 overs, with Ayabonga Kaka taking 2 wickets and Dumis Kukune taking one wicket, and Ria's run out with Nondumiso Shangaze making sure that that wicket is out. So South Africa now need 252 runs in 49 overs to claim a win. In football, Kaizer Chiefs face a serious test tonight when they encounter Kukune United in what will be a battle for the Betway Premiership top spot at the FNB Stadium. The two teams are tied on 13 points after 5 matches, and a winner in this game could unseat the defending champions at the top, who are a point clear following a win over Magezi over the weekend. And Amakosi head coach Nazruddin Nabi says that the log standings tell the story of a challenging game that awaits them tonight.
Obviously, if you look at the standing log right now, it's going to be a very tough game against a very tough. They have shown that they have players that have experience, a coach that is competent and has experience too. But we have felt this whole time of preparation a real work, a real will from our players to do everything to get a positive result.
Elsewhere, Villarreal coach Marcelino says that Thomas Partey will be ready to face Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League tonight. This is despite the former Arsenal midfielder being due in court this week on rape and sexual assault charges. Partey is back in North London a month after his appearance at Westminster Magistrates Court on the 5th of August, when he was charged with 5 counts of rape against 2 women, as well as a charge of sexual assault against a 3rd woman, and he's due due to appear at the Old Bailey tomorrow. In athletics, South Africa's Zakiti Nene won the first semi-final of the men's 400 meter at the Tokyo World Championship to advance to the final today. Nene clocked 44.20 seconds, finishing ahead of Lee Epi of Botswana, who clocked 44.51 seconds, while Reese Holder of Australia finished in third in 44.63 seconds. USA's Chris Bailey won't be in the final after finishing 7th in 45.05 seconds. In motorsport, the Canadian, Dutch and Singapore Grand Prix will become Formula One sprint weekends for the first time next season on a list of 6 hosts announced by the sport today. F1 Sprint is a short race and it covers around 100 kilometers, about 1/3 of a typical Grand Prix distance, which lasts around 30 minutes, and it's held a day before the main Grand Prix that is held on Sunday. Now, Shanghai and Miami will be sprint hosts for a third successive year, while the British Grand Prix at Silverstone last hosted one in 2021. The 3 venues joined Shanghai, Miami and Silverstone. Then finally, in swimming, South Africa President Alan Fritz says that the federation needs about 85 million rand to prepare its athletes for the Los Angeles 2028 and Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games. Fritz explained that funding will come from SASCOC, the National Lottery, and headline sponsors. Bombela Concession Company has already committed 10 million in a 1-year deal with the option to renew.
You got to add in there, of course, what SASCOC has in OPEX. You got to add in there what we're supposed to get from DSEC, about 2 to 3 million. In fact, we're supposed to get 4 or 5 million from DSEC. DSEC, our presentation with them when we met with the minister and MECs at MINMEC, we said we require 10 million from them because we knew that Bombela was coming in. The Lotto, we're going to also ask for 10 million for this cycle, and that for the next cycle, the same, it would take us closer to the 85 million.
Before I go, Ashraf, I want to remind Kaizer Chiefs fans that they can still buy tickets to the game tonight. Yesterday, around 14,000 tickets had been bought, but they're still available if they want to go
What's
to
happening
FNB
with Kaizer
Stadium.
Chiefs, man? Where were all these supporters all these years?
They were not happy with how the team was performing.
Doesn't it tell you something? That how quickly, and it's only like, 3-4 games into a season, right? But how quickly, when a team promises something, there's expectations, they haven't won anything as yet, then this euphoria picks up.
Results speak.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, but
It
a lot
is
of
beautiful.
people always say when Chiefs is doing well, the country just somehow is all vibrant and happy and excited.
Before you know it, there may be a political party called Kaizer Chiefs anyway. Okay. Right.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 450-gram Bacoma Wheat Bix for $26.99 and 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 750-gram Nola mayonnaise for $38.99 and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 22 September 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Kinelo Matibela, best known as Maestro. I am an SABC Sport football analyst. I've never been to a picnic before. Oh my goodness. People sometimes struggle to pronounce my name, so everyone is just saying Maestro, so it has stuck with me. A good joke I heard. When somebody said to someone, "You look so dark, you literally look like under the bed." My favorite dress code, I don't like being formal. Oh, I'm not a fan of meat. My favorite meal is definitely putu and milk. My current favorite song, A Million Little Miracles. Can even count them all. To South Africa.
Catch the incredible football analysis on Match Days with Kinelo and Maestro Matibela. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Morning Brief.
Tuli.
Yes, brother.
I'm so surprised.
Hey.
After a long time, the people of Ditosot are suffering about the criminals who are occupying municipality, dividing themselves, 2 mayors, 2 MM.
Mm.
Today, Ramaphosa is when he recognized the suffering of the people of Ditobotla. Next year, the very same stupid president, so-called Cyril Ramaphosa, is
Khotso,
going
we don't do that on this show. We don't call people stupid.
give us a right phrase to pronounce him, because it's a stupid president.
I want to take a call from Matlakala in Davidton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, man, I just wanna call out to Khotso, man. What he's doing is actually unacceptable to the system. No matter how much differences you can have with a person, you cannot insult them.
Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
Right, so this message is brought to you by Ituba, the proud operator of the National Lottery. So Mzansi, 133 million rands in total guaranteed Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could change your life, well, today. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 70 million rands and then Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 63 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.coza, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you can dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Tuba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, with me is Paswane Mpatlela, the Senior Accounts Manager at Makwe Fund Managers. You've got lots to talk about, but let's start with results from a significant property group.
Yeah, Chef, good afternoon to you and all your listeners. This is the Tech Group. They are well known for their ownership of the Waterfall City. The guys have reflected on a year that reflects on income growth. When you look at the debts up double digits, thanks to the performance of locally and the Eastern Europe performance. We're looking at the occupancy levels sitting at 92, healthy levels showing demand. Collection rate is 100%, reflecting good cash flows. From a portfolio development, they continue with projects as they develop in the Water City. They've bought the remaining 20% stake in the Mall of Africa, improving their long-term income prospects. They've also sold some of the non-core assets, improving their balance sheet in terms of long-term levels. We've seen that gearing is down at 25%, reflecting the use of equity over debt. They've paid their dividends and shareholders are happy, up double digits. The stock is also showing some weaker performance as the forward guidance shows some conservativeness when you consider the idea that the development happy and South African concentrated. We're looking at the markets as a whole. Ashraf, global developments continues to move markets. US data is reflecting a rebound in the month of August. Whether you look at industrial production output that grows and consumer spending through the retail sales that were better than expected. But the focus remains on those US Fed. That's a 2-day meeting with interest rate decision tomorrow. We're seeing maximum sentiment holding on those interest rate cuts positively, not positive for the US markets in general when you think of currency developments, but global markets are holding. Capital is flowing to the likes of the euro and the rand, holding some gains amongst others. We see the dollars down 0.4. Also, we see the benefit of the likes of the hedging currency like the gold up 0.6 at $3,702 an ounce, signaling all-time highs. Also, the oil is in level 1 to mean to be left out. We're seeing it up 1.2 at $68.15 a barrel, tipping towards a bullish trend. We see the likes of Israel. When you look at data developments, they feel the impact of the war with the GDP down 4%, more than expected. In Europe, economic sentiment is showing a rebound strength, positivity. But when you look at the biggest stock markets like the DAX, it's showing weakness, reflecting that outlook going forward. Investors aren't really happy. DAX is down 1%, CAC is down 0%. We look at the FTSE is also down 0.7. US is putting easing on those all-time highs gains. We see the down is 0.4. Nasdaq is flat along with the S&P. When we look at the JSE, it delivers gains on that weaker dollar benefiting through. We see that we are up 0.2%, led by those commodities like the gold pricing, and the resource sector is up 0.5. Industrials is up 0.2. Industrials is down 0.2. When we come to the currency space, we hold those gains, healthy levels, 17.35 against the dollar, 20.55 against the euro, and 23.71 against the pound.
Okay, got all of that. Thanks for that, Paswane. We'll do it again tomorrow. And don't forget, 1 hour of the SFM market update coming up from 6 to 7 this evening.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
I'll tell you what, still to come, we'll talk to Tsepo Matseba to comment on, the reputation issue of brand ANC in the light of the pronouncements of Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the African National Congress. That comes up after 5. We'll also reflect on the relationship, really, between private partnership, private and the state in terms of policing. I'm talking about CPFs. There was a conference that they held over the weekend. We'll reflect on that too. But let's, for now, talk about an issue that will not go away. Activists and Citizens Forum, that's the organization, believes that the top secret classification of the report on Phala Phala theft, that is, on President Ramaphosa's farm, must be part of the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigations. So let's find out why. Dennis Bloom is the spokesperson for the Activists and Citizens Forum. Dennis, thank you for connecting on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and good afternoon to the listeners. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. So, okay, your specific, request, demand is that Phala Phala report must be part of the Madlanga Commission. Tell me about it. Why?
We are saying that the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee must declassify that top secret Phala Phala report. The reason why we are saying so, all the other reports on Phala Phala that was commissioned was made public. Even SARS one was made public. Why is it that this one is not is top secret? We don't understand, and we want to know. That's why we are saying that this thing must go before the Madlanga and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. You see, Ashraf, this is part and parcel of concealing information from the public, from politicians, the interference and corruption by politicians. In this case, they have the former minister, or let me say the suspended minister, decided that this must be a top secret report. Now we are asking why is that a top secret report if there is not something that they want to hide from the public. It is very important that this report must be declassified, and it must be open for us to see what is in that report. That's why we are saying that.
Okay, do you get a sense that, with the Madlanga Commission starting its work tomorrow, so it's just day one, right, that clearly, and the scope is very, very broad, but it really deals with, political interference, issues around policing, favoritism, knots, security, that I hear what you're saying, but in many ways you're preempting what may come out, because I'd be surprised if this one does not get discussed.
No, Ashraf, we are saying it must be part, if it is not on the agenda of the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Committee, then it must be put on the agenda, because it's very important. You see, Ashraf, there is no other way that people can be treated differently. We are saying, and the constitution of this country is saying, all are equal before the law. There is no such a thing that other people must be treated differently.
Okay.
You can recall that the former president, Jacob Zuma, was thrown into jail because of contempt of court. Now, why must President Cyril Ramaphosa be treated differently?
Okay.
And hiding this report?
Dennis, okay, just the last thing very quickly. I heard what you said. Do you think it's going to happen? That it will be put on the agenda?
We will make sure. We will make sure. If it is not there, we will make sure it must be there. We will push the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee to put it on the agenda. It's very important.
Okay.
It must be there.
Point made. On the agenda, Phala Phala report. Dennis Bloom, spokesperson for the Activists and Citizens Forum. I'll tell you what, thanks for your time. It's an interesting thought in terms of, well, we don't know, day one tomorrow, but really what are the issues that are going to be discussed? And I suspect there will be lots of conversation about this issue, about many issues, in fact, that are in and out, what's discussed, what's not discussed over the next few weeks or months as we finally get conclusion on that, if anything, isn't it? You're so connected here. So am I to the National Pulse.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
When you're smiling, describe your favorite socks.
Pink and orange stripes.
They're blue with yellow dots.
Green, and they kind of look like snakes. The ones that make children smile.
On 19 September, wear your favorite socks and help spread smiles to children in need of a life-changing surgery. Get your Socks for Smile sticker today at smilefoundation.co.za. This is an SABC-supported initiative.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Right, time for your calls. Before we get to that, make a note of this, right? The Spar Baby Proteas will take part in the Netball World Youth Cup 2025 in Gibraltar from the 19th to the 28th of September. So it's happening, right? These are our rising stars, but I'm sure you know that too. Hashtag Together We Rise, brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So I asked you today, what is it that moves the National Pulse? What would you say? I know the issue of the ANC and Ramaphosa is still top of the agenda, but that's not all. There are many other issues you may want to talk about. The genocide finding by the United Nations report, that's one of them. The issues of what's happening in Nepal, lessons to learn there. The issues of just general service delivery. What about the Phala Phala report, as you've heard Dennis Bloom talk about? And there are other issues, again, about the relationship between business, or rather the public and civil society and the state in terms of policing. We'll talk about that later on too. Here's some thoughts from you. We're going to get to calls. In fact, first, then we'll get to some of the WhatsApp comments too. Sibu in the Free State, hi.
Hi, Afra, how are you?
Yeah, very good. What's your point?
Good. I just wanted to step in on the Ramaphosa issue. I would kind of like to say that I agree and disagree with him at the same time.
Okay.
Because what we need to check is to say that if we compare apples with apples, we need to look Cape Town, if you compare it with another city in the Northern Cape or whatever, we need to understand that Cape Town got a revenue, whereas other cities, there is no revenue. And we need to check that where are mostly of the people in need on our municipality. So we need to actually, when we have our people in municipalities like at the municipalities that need, I will do example with mine. In the Bloemfontein area, yes, municipality in the Bloemfontein area is good, but people need to be capacitated there in terms of collecting revenues. The town surrounding Bloemfontein, we are not paying any revenue, but centrally there will pay revenue. And again, when we check on our governmental departments, schools, your clinics, your other things, there are also the people that are owing the municipality. So we can't expect the municipality to run efficiently where we are the same people as government who are killing it. Because you've got indigent. Registration of indigent is not taking place. So you need to capacitate your people in order to say that there is a grant. Register people so that you can get access to that grant. So if you haven't capacitated them and if you didn't give them the people to help them in order to register those people, Remember, the people.
Okay,
that
I hear you. Shibu, I think you've made your point very clearly, and it's interesting then why then did the president not bring that up anyway, right? But, the other part of it, and I hear what you're saying about the registration of indigent people, you see, even if that's not the case, then why were they not registered? Which also then is a shortcoming of those, that are involved in a certain ward or municipality. So it's an interesting point, and I think a few other people have tweeted about it to say, well, it's a lot easier to run the city of Cape Town, for example, versus some of the other municipalities around the country. There's big demographic shifts, and certainly that in terms of monies and finances too. Nkosinathi in Joburg, right? What's your point?
Ashraf, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for the opportunity. Just to take into the gentleman who just spoken now, but I want to just make 2 points outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with what he just said now. A lot of municipalities are found to be embezzling money, to be doing all sorts of wrong things, consultants that are doing everything. So it's not an issue of money, because they do have money. They just don't know how to do what they're supposed to do. So I just wanted to jump in what he said about the Cape Town thing. So I don't think it's just the issue of budget and all of that. It's also just incompetence, purely incompetence. But
in fact, the ANC president may well agree with that. If you followed many of his comments, that's why he said, "Go and learn from the others. Let them show us how they do it." Yeah,
exactly. But to be precise, in my point, Ashraf, I think 2 things. One, ANC it's like a person who's falling off the cliff. As you're falling off the cliff, you grabbed on anything just to hold on, just to prolong the fall. The reality is that if no one comes to save you, you will fall eventually, whether you're grabbing on the rope that is loose or you're grabbing on the grass or whatever the case may be. That's what ANC is currently doing right now.
Okay.
So for them to speak the way they've spoken and the things they said, whether it's graded or whatever, it's a reality. They're just trying to find something to hold on to, just to kind of push the ball further down the line. That's one point. The second point, it would have been very powerful for the president when he was speaking to his people to actually start with themselves, because the president himself is embedded in the Phala thing. There's an issue there.
Mm-hmm.
The chairman who spoke, he was also fingered in the Zondo Commission about security staff, and the Secretary General was also figured in the Dubai travel or SETGAS or whatever it was. They all in the top are also involved in some sort of corruption that have been fingered in. It would have been great to say, guys, we have not been leading in the right way. As a result, this thing has filtered all the way down, but we need to find a way. So own it first instead of pointing fingers, and then say, I'm leading a way forward in a different way.
Well, can you just imagine them saying so? I just wonder. Nkosinathi, thank you for that. Can you just imagine? I mean, who wants to be an ANC leader right now? And I really mean that with respect. There's such a conundrum within that party. In point, Soweto, hi.
Hi, Ashraf. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. What's your point?
Okay, my point is our president already scored the own goal on ANC. And the second thing that he's trying to say, when you get a virus, you will need some antibiotics just to get you off of the virus. So, in other words, the GNU is already working. So you can see that he doesn't have any much power. So that's why he's heading the ball to the DA, and he's seeing that he's going to be voted off when he comes to the next election. So he's just making a pressure for somebody when he comes to ANC to become a president, just have a lot of problems that's going to have. Because right now, a lot of people want to change their mind. And we already said a lot of times about the councillors of South Africa that they are not working. So he's just making pressure for Paul Shadile if he's going to get in there, or Gwede Mantashe is going to get in there. That's my point, Ashraf.
Okay, well, certainly your point is a point worth reflecting on. Thank you for that. Here's another one, quick one. Hi, Ashraf. I don't see anything wrong with what the President said, because it's what we also say in our private spaces. From Dan. Dan, I think you're missing a huge point. He's the president of the African National Congress. You are not. He's also the president of the country. You are not. The weight that those words carry, him versus you or myself, completely different. We're going to get reaction from a reputation expert about the ANC in a moment. Let's get the news. It's 5 o'clock. Here's Greg Hoos.
Thank you. Ashraf, 2 killed in Northwest mining dispute, and Busa to challenge withdrawal of new credit regulations. Good afternoon. 2 people are feared dead near Zeerust in the Northwest amid mounting reports of illegal mining and violent disputes over mining rights. Authorities in the province say illegal crow mining has increased in the eastern parts of the province, including Rustenburg. In a separate matter, also linked to illegal mining, 2 men are facing charges of murder and attempted murder following the discovery of 2 bodies on the Gaborone-Zeerust road. These concerned residents say they are not safe.
Situation is bad for community. Community are so terrified. They can't even go outside from their houses.
They are scared. They can't believe what they are seeing with their own eyes because it is the first time they experienced it. People are dying here. People are being shot and one is dead.
Business Unity SA says it will challenge the withdrawal of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. The decision by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition was informed by more than 20,000 submissions opposed to the regulations. The rejection was sparked by a sub-regulation that would permit registered credit bureaus to receive consumer credit information from, among others, educational institutions. Critics say this provision would result in graduates being blacklisted from loans and jobs. Business Unity's Kulekane Mate.
That provision has been in the statute since 2006. And in the 19 years, we're not aware of universities having handed over student debt data to credit bureaus. This is why we're saying that the regulations that were really intended to make it easy for banks and other credit providers to lend to SMEs were withdrawn on the back of something that's not what was being introduced.
The sentencing procedures of Sibusiso Zita, who was convicted of murdering pastry chef Thembekile Letlape, has been postponed to Thursday by the High Court in Johannesburg. This is to allow the court more time to go through the victim impact report. Zita was arrested after Letlape's body was discovered at their place of residence in Fourways, north of Johannesburg last year. Her father, a former president of the Health Professions Council of SA and an Action SA MP, Kgosi Letlape, found her body. Zita pleaded guilty to the murder. Presiding Judge Shanaz Mia.
The matter is then postponed to the 18th of September 2025 for sentence in the matter. Evidence to be led in that regard. Accusers in custody, no bail, will proceed in court 4B at 10. Court adjourned.
The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development says resources have been allocated to the Malopo Magistrates Court Maintenance Unit at Mahikeng in the northwest, amid allegations of a backlog in maintenance order cases. 2 mothers who spoke to SABC on condition they remain anonymous say they've been filing for maintenance orders for years. They also say the court often uses the applicants' phones to try and serve summons on respondents. Department spokesperson Terence Manasseh.
If that is the case, that's an unfortunate situation, and we do sympathize, and we will make sure that we correct this challenge. What is in front of me is that the maintenance unit is in that court is well equipped with laptops for officers, investigators. They have desktops for clerks, movable handsets, and vehicle. Court management has systems in place to ensure that these resources support timely service delivery. If there are challenges that are being raised, it's something that is concerning. As a department, we will have to look into it and make sure that this does not happen.
A court in Kenya has issued an arrest warrant for a British national accused of murdering a woman in the northern town of Nanyuki, where the British Army has a military base. The BBC's Akisa Wandera has more.
The judge issued an arrest warrant after the suspect failed to appear at the High Court to answer murder charges. He directed that the identities of the accused and witnesses not be published, citing the need to protect the integrity of the trial. The prosecution added that while some witnesses are based in Britain, they will be made available for hearings in Kenya. The case has raised questions about accountability and justice in relations between Kenya and the UK, given the British Army's long-standing presence in Laikipia County.
The top story is that 2 people are feared dead near Zeerust in the northwest amid mounting reports of illegal mining and violent disputes over mining rights. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Hus.
In your sports this hour, Proteas women 39 for 1 after 9 overs. They need 217 runs in 41 overs to win against Pakistan women. And Nabi says that he expects fine margins to decide Sekhukhune showdown, and Kipyegon wins 4th World 1500 meter title in Tokyo. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 northbound in Woodmead, slow moving towards Buccleuch interchange. The R21 northbound in Kempton Park, queuing towards Voortrekker Road, and the N3 northbound in Bedfordview, slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Gilulis interchange. In KZN, the M7 westbound, queuing towards Belleville Road.
Thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
.com, right? And as part of this, 25 top speakers, including 6 of them global keynotes. Bottom line to all of this is that marketing is business.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, politics in South Africa. So Kenny Kunene is suspended, isn't he, by the action by the Patriotic Alliance? Well, he's their mayoral pick for the city of Joburg. Okay, let's move on. This is the National Pulse, and I'm sure you have many things to talk about. We'll talk about, partnerships between public-private regarding policing coming up just now. But there's no question, and it has been for the better part of 24 hours since since the ANC President Ramaphosa, in fact, made the point about the need to, sort out things for the with regard to the ANC at local council level, and the reaction coming out of that. Right now, let's take it a step further in terms of where we are regarding reputation of the ANC, right, and what this really means. So let's talk about it. And I want to get your thoughts on that too, in terms of what impact has it had on. That means Ramaphosa's comments. What impact has it had on the reputation of Ramaphosa and the African National Congress? With me is Tsepo Batseba, the MD of Reputation First. You know all about that, Tsepo. Thanks for joining us here on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Now, you're not the political party caller, and I understand that part, but you would observe what the ANC President Ramaphosa would have said about the ANC and the DA and the state of the ANC. When you heard that, what went through your mind in terms of someone who understands how the narrative and how it's interpreted has an impact on the reputation of party or individual?
Yeah, it's a strange one that has happened, to be honest. And I use the word strange because the president of the ANC, in his capacity, President Cyril Ramaphosa, has the right actually to criticize his own political organization. He also has the right to reprimand councillors and leaders through the right structures and processes. The difficulty that he had, though, is that that right that he has seemed overstretched. And the minute he opposes the ANC in public in that fashion, but extend it by endorsing or that seemingly endorsing an opposition party or the ANC's main contender. And we know that they are together in the government of national unity, but the DA is actually still the ANC's biggest contender, followed by the others, and especially in terms of the policy direction. And so that came across as very awkward in terms of the reputation of the organization, the image, but also the messaging, especially when this message comes from the top of the organization, and that no, you can go and learn from our worst competitor. That's a big problem.
But I mean, how does one interpret this? I'm really interested from someone like yourself who understands, communications pretty well. I mean, let's look at a football analogy. Your team loses 3 matches out of 4. If you say we've lost 3 out of 4, we need to turn things around. I mean, that person would be stating a fact, right? But would that person, by saying that, be suggesting that, in fact, other teams are better without actually saying so?
Yeah, so the line is not on my side. It's not very clear, so I'm struggling to hear you. But I understood you correctly in saying if we draw the same comparison as in football, we take it now to corporate, that a CEO of a company, of a listed company, can actually go and reprimand his employees and say that, you are not performing well, you are not coming to the party, and that in terms of the market evaluation, our competitors are chowing us. They're giving us a run for our money. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be wrong when the same CEO goes and says, and you need to now go to the next door, to our biggest competitor, and learn lessons, because if people want the best service in this country or in this environment, in this market, the next door, our competitor, is actually better than us. When you want the great service, you go to next door. And that was the message that sort of subtly came through the message of the president, or President Ramaphosa. And that's where it goes wrong, where politically you are actually coming across like you are endorsing an opponent. It could have easily been said without necessarily saying, well, if you want best practice, go to the DA. That sounded like a DA campaign. And for me, unfortunately, the DA is going to leverage that opportunity for the longest of time.
And I mean, look, many people are surprised that the DA has leveraged it. I mean, I'm thinking it's pretty obvious. It started yesterday. The DA posted that comment on their Instagram account, on their Twitter, and I even commented to say, you're using Ramaphosa as your influencer marketing, because that's how it comes across, right? So, yes, the public calling in are rather surprised. I mean, am I right in saying that any other political party or any opposition, even in business, would absolutely take advantage of that comment? And in this case, the DA would run with it, not just today, but exactly as per the eve of that election posters, they would use Ramaphosa to endorse the ANC, the DA unintentionally, right on election day for the local government election.
Yes, so he has actually written the payoff line in the political script and the billboard for the Democratic Alliance campaigns towards the local government elections. And we know that even though they may not, the political campaigning for local government elections is still a long-term game. And so when the time comes, they will stretch that campaign. They are already public relations-wise and social media-wise starting the process. But I imagine that this thing is going to pick up momentum, and especially knowing what the DA has done before in terms of track record of using political commentary, controversial posters, controversial social media posts, that they're not going to take anything lying down. They're going to use this extensively. And so I think it was an oversight on the part of the president. And I can appreciate, I'm talking about president of the ANC, I can appreciate the frustration that he had and he wanted to articulate. But you could talk about the challenges that the Auditor General has raised, and then say, this is how, as a party, we are addressing it, and we need to address it, and these are the consequences for councillors who don't address. These are the timelines, and these are the best practices from ANC policy. That way, you come across like you are really, really creating a different story of resolving the problem, rather than sounding like you are just making noise almost, instead of dealing with the core issues.
I mean, it's an interesting one because, Helen Zille has tweeted a poster of Cyril Ramaphosa in DA garb running a marathon, right? Completely in DA colors. And when you can draw the analogy, it's very clear what she's trying to say. What you're suggesting is perhaps what needed to happen from an ANC perspective. What Ramaphosa needed to be doing is wearing ANC garb, but the baton that he would carry would be something like, service delivery. I mean, that would be the message, as opposed to drawing an analogy with another party, right?
Oh, yes. And that's why it's so important for us not to, and perhaps for the public, for members of the public, to look at this for what it is. So we don't know what led to his views, but I can tell you that the communication machinery of the DA, I've seen that character that they've drawn. It does resemble the face of President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC, but in DA regalia. And it's sending a wrong signal. It already has about 5,000. It was posted 5 hours ago, so it's gaining 1,000 traction per hour on X, and it's likely to make headlines all over the show, both locally and internationally. And that's a problem for the ANC. So the DA will leverage this through organic means, where they don't have to pay a cent to use the message that President Ramaphosa spoke about. But in addition, once this is not over, when the hardcore campaigning starts, they are likely to use his own words to quote him in different campaigns and communication elements. And that's a big challenge for the ANC. I don't know what Phil Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General, must be doing right now, but there's that crisis from a communication.
So let's talk about it. I mean, I spoke to an ANC NEC member early on, and people can listen to that podcast, and they made the point that the ANC says things as it is. We don't give you a story that's not true. What Ramaphosa said is backed up statistically in terms of the non-performing municipalities as per the AG report. So he's speaking fact, which is something you've said, right? But they also made the point that the ANC doesn't get involved in politicking. Now, having said all of that, and I did suggest that once something is spoken about publicly, you don't own the narrative. The public owns the narrative. Now, yourself, you're not consulting with the ANC right now, I gather, but assuming they called you today and said, how do we fix this? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are two problems that they are facing, and if we get to how to fix, firstly, they need to be consistent. And the question of consistency comes when you reflect. Just a few weeks ago, they said Malusi Gigaba and the acting Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, had brought the organization into disrepute, and there are going to be consequences. So if that's the case for the words that they were using at the time, criticizing the ANC for poor performance and various other things, especially service delivery, then the same principle would apply here, that the ANC needs to say to its own president, now, oops, we are going to go through a process of some sort of an inquiry to get to the bottom of why you said what you said, and there will be consequences. The second reality that the ANC needs to face head on is that to acknowledge, is not to try and spin this one into here there are we say things as they are. We at some point they would need to say and get their own president to own up and say perhaps here there was a shortfall and there was an oversight, and for that it's regrettable, and the president takes ownership for that shortfall, and the ANC takes ownership for that shortfall. As remedial action, this is what we are doing about the problem. We are going to fix the municipalities. We are going to have a structure, and then now you focus on the ANC messaging and actions.
And very quickly, just to wrap up, should Ramaphosa issue a statement, either in text form or in video form, and say, "I think you misinterpreted what I was saying"? Should he say that now, or should he just let it be?
No, if I were him, I would state it categorically so that there's no uncertainty. To state it categorically that there is, if there's a misinterpretation, maybe there was context that some of us missed, and he needs to come out and say this was a misinterpretation, and therefore here are the facts, because that then closes the chapter. He might have to deal with other issues, but he needs to come out now through a form of a family meeting type of conversation with the ANC. He doesn't need to address or everybody else, but he can address the ANC, and he would need to do so in public since he was speaking in a public platform.
Okay, there we are. Tsepo Matseba, special advisor to the ANC, if they want it. But thank you for your time. Reputation First, MD. Fascinating insights from you, Tsepo. Much appreciate your time. And we'll have this up as a podcast ASAP as well.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Right, to make a note of this, this message brought to you by Ituba, the proud operator of the National Lottery. Mzansi, 133 million rands in total is guaranteed. That's guaranteed Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots, and that could change your life today. Play Powerball for the guaranteed 70 million rands and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 63 million rands. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.coza, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Tell you what, the story of Paul O'Sullivan and the Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi gathering pace in its own right. You remember, O'Sullivan has claimed in several platforms, in fact, that Mkhwanazi is a criminal who runs a hit squad. Now, Mkhwanazi is now, we've got confirmation, he's now suing O'Sullivan for 5 million rands over his recent statements. And I say that because that's so significant in the light of the beginning of that commission of inquiry into all things around policing and security and political interference as well. You just wonder where that's going to go next. However, let's talk about other issues around policing, I suppose, or law enforcement. At the weekend, the Public-Private Law Enforcement Summit took place. And let's find out what that really means and the implications thereof. With me is Advocate Govensamy Marimutu to talk about just that, right? He's a retired Brigadier Govensamy Marimutu. You may remember that name. Head of now the communications for the Civilian Crime Intelligence Network, which is CCIN, as well as special advisor to the Justice Administration and Law Enforcement Impact. So there we are. We have then with us Brigadier Govensamy Marimutu. Appreciate your time. Thanks for connecting with us on the National Pulse. Okay, in fact, we'll get to him in just a second or two. Let's just see if we can pick out some comments from you. So there's the one. I wonder what you make of the conversation we just had with the reputation management expert and some of the lessons you may want to pick out of that, right? Because there's some important lessons to learn from that, but he did suggest that the ANC may want to just recall that messaging, if you get my point. Here's further comments.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the listeners. This is Nati from Cape Town. With regard to what Cyril Ramaphosa said, I just wanted to ask Ashraf, as a parent, when you scold your kids, do you compare them to the next door kids, or you just scold them to correct their behavior? Because what he did there, it was decampaigning ANC. Thank you.
In fact, that's what many people are saying. It's like, yeah, the next door children are better than you. I mean, that's really what you're suggesting. Look at all those next door children. They're so well behaved. Go and learn something from them. Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but I think you get the sense of exactly what I mean around this. Okay, with me now regarding the Public-Private Law Enforcement Summit is the advocate and retired Brigadier Govindsamy Marimutu, Head of Communications for the Civilian Crime Intelligence Network. Much appreciate your time, Brigadier Marimutu. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Your listeners, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. So tell me about this. I mean, the issue of policing is so critically important. It's part of our everyday lives. And then, of course, we've got this inquiry coming up tomorrow. I would suggest, therefore, the issues of public-private law enforcement summit takes on even greater importance. What came out of it?
Well, it was a convention with all our partners in the fight against crime, security industry, the Metro Police, South African Police Service, and various businesses and corporates, as well as the recently established Justice Administration Law Enforcement Impact organization, and also community policing forums. It was a coming together of these forces to assist in law enforcement.
Now, I mean, one of the briefs is the importance of, collaborative crime fighting strategies. I mean, I would think in many cases that would be like the most obvious thing, because we all know that, right? The question is it happening, and to what degree is it happening? And if it's not happening, what are the shortfalls?
Well, one must understand that this is a volunteer basis of CCIN. The CCIN is a non-profit organization, and we need to strengthen the hand of law enforcement. Therefore, CCIN has taken upon itself to get into partnerships with the security industry and various other entities, including business. We have the chairperson, the founder and chairperson of CCIN, which is a civilian crime intelligence network. We have opened up operational command centers. We cannot operate in silos. Individual security companies, businesses operating on their own. We would not be able to make a dent in the fight against crime. So by coming together,
Yeah, do I have you there? We may have just...
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I think we just lost you for a second. You said by coming together, yeah?
By coming together, the chairperson of CCIN engaged with security companies and came out with the concept of the OCC, CCIN Operational Command Centers, where we have these command centers in the security industry, security companies. They have their operational rooms. And we have the OCC, the Operational Command Centers, where we're coming together and bringing the partnerships on board. We get all the security companies to assist, and thereby having these OCCs, they connect with other security companies, and we have all these vehicles and the resources on the ground. For example, if you have a company, a security company in Vereeniging, and they got an OCC there, and there's an OCC in Johannesburg with another security company. They work together, and it makes it much easier because there's more vehicles in the ground.
All right, I hear you. Yeah. Point taken. How does this then? So you're saying, in fact, that this has already been established. It's not a wish list. You're doing it already, right?
Yes, we are doing it already, and we have results to show. There's reduction in crime. There's communication, working together, and it's been effective.
When you say reduction in crime, give me a stat that I can understand.
Well, if you look at the kidnappings through CCIN and also a security company that's very much involved, and even the head of the National Task Team on the anti-kidnapping has indicated that there's been tremendous reduction and success in the arrests and recovery of firearms and even ransom money. Being recovered, and those are successes. Even crime, even response time, where you can't have the police only responding because of we must. It's a fact that there's a shortage of resources within the policing establishment, and therefore we cannot take away the policing. That remains in the hands of the police, but we as partnerships come in to assist with the resources that we have, and therefore it helps in the reduction of crime.
Okay. Obviously, from civil society's point, I mean, you guys are doing a critically important, you play a hugely important role. I mean, just two things in one go, one short answer. How does this differ from, CPFs that I'm very familiar with? And yes, how then does, yourself and the CPFs, your relationship work in terms of working with policing, keeping in mind that, am I right in saying that without your efforts, the police's role is seriously undermined because of a lack of resources from their side?
Well, the community policing forums, the CCI chairperson is involved also in the CPFs because he's he's an executive member serving on the provincial board in Gauteng. So we have a very effective communication and working relationship with CPFs on the ground, because without the CPFs and without community involvement, it will be a problem. But we are able to address this because we are involved with CPFs, and I, as a former station commander of various stations, have been very much involved with CPFs so that we understand that. With CCIN, we bring the CPFs on board as well.
Okay, maybe we need to have further conversations about these all-important public-private law enforcement conversations or summits, keeping in mind the importance of that commission of inquiry that starts tomorrow. Something has to change in terms of the way we execute policing in our country. Much appreciate your time. Advocate and retired Brigadier Govinsamy Marimutu, head of the communications for the Civilian Crime Intelligence Network, CCIN. Thanks for connecting on the National Pulse. Here's the news headlines with Greg House.
Quick look at the headlines. Many people feel the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry into Criminality and Corruption in the Justice System, which gets underway tomorrow, will not make a difference in their lives. 2 people are feared dead near Zeerust in the northwest amid mounting reports of illegal mining and violent disputes over mining rights. And US President Donald Trump and the First Lady have departed the US en route to the UK for a state visit at the invitation of King Charles III. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Coase.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in Johannesburg, queuing towards Crown Interchange. Eskiam Pahleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Moot Street, and the N3 northbound in Bedfordview, slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Giluli's Interchange. In KZN, the N2 southbound in Isipingo, slow moving towards Joyner Road exit. The N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg, queuing towards Market Road, and Chris Hani Road westbound, queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, Palmyra Road southbound, slow moving towards Stanhope Road. Jan Smuts Drive southbound in Athlone, slow moving towards Cromboom Road, and the N2 outbound, slow moving towards the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Khapele.
Tumi, our women cricketers are in action.
They are in action and things are not looking good. It's drinks right now. South Africa currently sitting on 79 for 2 after 17 overs. Laura Volvaart is out, our captain, and she was out for 4, while Sine Luce is also out for 30. Tasman Brits and Marizanne Kapp are at the crease, with Brits on 28 and Kapp at 17. Remember, Pakistan posted 255 for 4 in their 50 overs. So South Africa right now need 170 runs in 33 overs to win this one, and I'm crossing my fingers for them. Meanwhile, there's some football action to look forward to today, starting off with the Betway Premiership, where Kaizer Chiefs face a serious test tonight against Kukune United. The two teams are tied on 13 points after 5 matches, and a winner in this game could unseat the defending champions at the top, who are a point clear following a win over Magezi at the weekend. Here's Amakosi head coach Nasruddin Nabi.
Obviously, if you look at the standing log right now, it's going to be a very tough game against a very tough. They have shown that they have players that have experience, a coach that is competent and has experience too. But we have felt this whole time of preparation a real work, a real will from our players to do everything to get a positive result.
That's Nabi's interpreter there. But it's not the only fixture today. Suelela away to Durban City and Chipa United host Orbit College. Elsewhere, there's also action in the UEFA Champions League, and as many as 9 players could miss Arsenal's clash against the Athletic Club this evening. Amongst the players is Martin Odegaard, who is out with a shoulder injury, Bukayo Saka with a muscle injury, Ben White not specified, Kai Havertz with a knee injury, and Gabriel Jesus also with a knee injury. Other selected fixtures to look forward to in terms of the UEFA Champions League: Tottenham Hotspur facing Villarreal, Real Madrid host Marseille, and another big one, Juventus hosting Borussia Dortmund. In athletics, Faith Kipyegon stormed to a historic 4th World 1500-meter title as the Kenyan great extended her streak of dominance with the 5th consecutive global gold in the event. The 31-year-old matched retired men's world record holder Hashim Al as the only other athlete in history to amass 4 1500-meter titles at the championships. Meanwhile, South Africa's Zakiti Nene won the first semi-final of the men's 400-meter at the Tokyo World Championships to advance to the final. Nene clocked 44.20 and was followed by Lee Epi of Botswana finishing in 44.51 and Reese Holder of Australia finishing in 3rd in 44.63. Meanwhile, in motorsport, the Canadian, Dutch and Singapore Grand Prix will become Formula One sprint weekends for the first time next season. On a list of 6 hosts announced by the sport today, the 3 venues join Shanghai, Miami and Silverstone. And F1 Sprint is basically a short race. It covers 100 kilometer, about a third of a typical Grand Prix distance, which lasts around 30 minutes and is held the day before the main Grand Prix, which is held on a Sunday. In swimming South Africa President Alan Fritz says that the federation needs about 85 million rand to prepare its athletes for the Los Angeles 2028 and Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games. Fritz explained that funding will come from SASCOC, the National Lottery, and headline sponsors. Bombela Concessions Company has already committed 10 million rand in a 1-year deal with the option to renew.
You got to add in there, of course, what SASCOC has in OPEX. You got to add in there what we're supposed to get from DSEC, about 2 to 3 million. In fact, we're supposed to get 4 or 5 million from DSEC. DSEC, our presentation with them when we met with the minister and MECs at MINMEC, we said we require 10 million from them because we knew that Bombela was coming in. The Lotto, we're going to also ask for 10 million for this cycle, and that for the next cycle, the same, it would take us closer to the 85 million.
On that note, it is a wrap from my side. I'll be back again tomorrow.
Just by the way, what's happened? I just have to ask you, what's happened with our Formula One plan?
Remember, it has been approved that it is going to come through to Kyalami, the circuit there. And we're just waiting to hear what the way forward is with regards to that.
But I mean, that means what's approved? That's if South Africa
can come to
gets
South Africa, yeah.
Has it been approved that it's coming to South Africa? It's approved that that if South Africa wins it, it will be at Kyalami, not in Cape Town.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean we're getting it.
Yes, we're still waiting on them coming through.
Okay, there we are. Like the World Cup 2006 bid, remember? And then 2010. Yeah.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, let's get to all the money issues. Of course, SAFM Market Update. Jimmy may talk about the cost of a Formula One and say, come on, man, leave the cost out. Well, we'll ask Jimmy that when we talk to him tomorrow, maybe, or next week. But for now, Tulu, you've got all the news with the SAFM Market Update.
Absolutely. Ashraf, here's what you can look forward to. This evening, we dive into market movements with independent analyst Kiarabilwe Nonyana and discuss results out of Attack, Hyprop and Lipstar with their respective executive teams. We also look at retirement mistakes and how to fix them with 10X. For now, we get a sense of how the market's fared. We are joined by Henku Kriel, who is MoneyWeb's contributor. Henku, a good day on the markets?
Hello, Dudu and Ashraf. Good evening to our listeners. Yes, Dudu, a good day on local markets, not so good day on international markets. In the US, the Dow Jones now losing 0.5%, the S&P 500 0.1%, and the Nasdaq also 0.1% weaker. Europe, they finished quite deep into the red today. The FTSE 100 in London losing 1%, the DAX 1.5%, and the CAC 40 in France 0.8%. But that was not the case locally. The JSE All-Share Index is the gift that keeps on giving and setting up a new record high every day as we go along. Today gained 0.2% and finishing at a new high of 104,885 points. Then if we move over to the sub-indices, the industrial index gained 0.3%, the financial index 0.1%, and the resources index 0.2% today. Some individual companies on the stock exchange that really gave strong performances were the MTN Group and Premier. They each finished today 5.5% stronger. Telkom and Mondi 3%. Glencore and Implats each gained 2%. Some of the losers today were Discovery and Karoo. They each lost 3%. Pick n Pay and the Life Healthcare Group, they each finished 2.2% weaker. And Redefine and Sasol each gave away 1.7%. Then if we have a look at the exchange rate, the rand still fairly strong against the dollar, appears strong although now trading at 17.35 rand to the dollar, 20.55 rand to the euro, 11.55 rand to the Australian dollar, and 23.70 rand to the British pound. Then on the commodities market, the price of gold, very high, also setting up a new record high amount every single day, now trading at $3,688 an ounce. Platinum, $1,400, palladium, $1,200 an ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is $68 a barrel on the dot. And then that's basically it from my side, Dudu. That's how the markets performed today.
Thank you so much, Henku Kriel, MoneyWeb's contributor. And Ashraf will be back with you at the top of the hour for the SAFM market update with MoneyWeb.
Absolutely looking forward to that 6 to 7. Do not miss it. That's the bottom line, right? What about you? I can't miss you because there's so much been happening on the show all throughout the last 3 hours. I have my view, there's the actual reality, but there's also you because naturally you're on the pulse. I need to feel you.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Okay, we'll take up some calls. If you are tweeting, you can certainly do that. I'll try and pick it up. And if you are text messaging, that's fine too. That there is, right? Someone saying ANC making us like fools. I'm not too sure what that means, but yeah, we'll pick up on that too. There's a lot about, there's so much about the municipalities, right?
Somebody had to say it. Sometimes we don't need to mince or sugarcoat things. Must say it the way they are. And Sir Ramaphosa took it upon himself as a leader of that party that they are now a 30% party, and it's only because of how they perform in municipalities they run. How they look at it, it's up to them, but they must do self-introspection and look at be honest to themselves that they are not doing justice to us as people of South Africa. Thank you. Johnny Mlefonte.
Well, I mean, you are right about somebody has to say, but I thought what is interesting is what Tsepo Matseba, the Reputation First MD, said, and please listen to that podcast to say you should have stopped at that. The once he said go, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, like essentially saying go and learn from those other guys and see what they're doing, right? Then you're opening yourself up to an endorsement of another party, and that's where the real argument. Statistically, the fact that the municipalities do not shape up with DA run ones. I mean, that's a fact statistically. And you can't argue with that, can you? Right, let's get callers. Temba, go for it. Hi.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to hit you 3 times. One, it's unheard of in the ANC that any ANC member would go into the public platform and mention in glowing terms an opposition party. It has never been heard of. Yes, it's something that is being done behind closed doors to make comparison and references. Now, even volunteers are told when they go out to campaign, you do not mention other political parties. You stick to the ANC script. You know why, Ashraf, this happened?
Yeah, why? Ashraf, yeah, I'm listening.
It has to do with 121 dockets. There's nothing else that can explain, because the president is well aware of what is permitted and not permitted in the ANC. It only has to do with taming the DA and giving it hope so that it fights in his corner Whenever anything comes out of the 121 docket, he has the DA pinning their hopes of taking the country on him. They will fight for him. They will not take him to court on whatever that has been will be exposed in there.
All right. Themba, you have got us thinking. As you said, I will not waste your time. You didn't. You got us thinking. Thanks for that, Themba, on the Ramaphosa story. Solomon in KZN, hello.
Ashraf, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you. Right, what's your point?
I am saying this is a sideshow. I think we all know what the president meant yesterday. He was sending across a message to the rightful audience, the primary audience which was seated before him, the councillors who are running majority of municipalities in the country, with an intention to ensure that they improve their performance. Then he cited one example, not of a perfect role player, but on an aspect of improved audit opinion. DA came to the fore. But what was the crux of the matter yesterday was the 6 pillars. I think that should be dominating the discourse by the whole nation rather than a sideshow which really cannot take the whole country anywhere. When you look at the DA performance in the Western Cape, it hasn't attempted to alter and to dent the base of the apartheid lines.
But you see, Solomon, your
socio-economic.
Solomon, your point, and this is so important here. I heard everything you said, but once a president speaks, even to his closed doors audience on a televised platform, because it was, he must know it's going to be broadcast nationwide. Once it's broadcast nationwide, the genie is out of the bottle. He can't control the narrative. So when you say we should be talking about those 6 pillars, right, the fact is the callers don't want to talk about the 6 pillars. They're calling about the DA story, if you get my point.
But it's not a secret that the DA has got improved audit opinions compared to the rest of the country. People do know that. They are not so below average to know that. The only sin of the president was to be objective. I think that is a crime that he committed here. Okay. But he was not saying he is promoting DA or he is anticipating that the agency is going to perform badly. He was just saying, much as you do all other or perform in all other key performance areas, good governance, which is a reflection of the improved audit opinion, is important.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. And again, I have my views, you have yours, the reputation expert has theirs, the ANC has theirs, the DA clearly has their views as well. It's a fascinating story that's being played out here in terms of course he didn't say vote for the DA, not at all. Why would he do that? But it's how it's interpreted by others and how they pick up the baton and they run with that. In Buyiza, in Pietermaritzburg, you live, go for it. What's your point?
My point is simple, Ashraf, is that what Ramaphosa have said, there's nothing wrong about it, but he said it at the wrong time. What makes it more worse now, more bad, is how the ANC councillors received it. Because to me, they behaved like a drug addict. That you show the drug addict the way, that let's go the way of rehabilitation, or look at other peers of yours how they behave, because they are not. ANC, it is so corrupt that even when you are trying to show them the right way, they are so addicted. Corruption within the ANC, they behave like a drug addicts because of corruption, that even though their president is trying to show them that let us copy this. Ramaphosa was clear that some of the municipalities, he didn't say DA is perfect. He said some of the municipalities like Cape Town, like Stellenbosch, let's copy what the DA is doing. But they are so like, you know what, their eyes are just fixed on corruption, on the public purse, to the extent that they did not even listen to the message. And then they are saying that Ramaphosa is decampaigning. No, he is not decampaigning. But the issue is that, Ashraf, as a parting shot, look at all the municipalities of the ANC. You see the disservice to the people, but still, the bad part of it, they don't want to accept it. That was said. That was the
yeah.
most said of the.
Well, I mean, I think
that want to
that's the point. He was open and honest about stating the obvious, and it was obvious, because even if he didn't say it, we can all see that anyway. Imuyisa, thank you for your time. There's more to come. In fact, let's get another one from Kwakwa. Anonymous, hello.
Hello, Asaf, how are you?
I'm good indeed, right? What's your point?
Thank you very much. Just to, the former speaker was correct. I just want to add a few things there. The challenge with the ANC poor delivery on the councillor side is that they plan, when we vote, they say everyone should give its needs. And the needs are taken, the budget is made. And the budget in the office of the mayor is used for different things. So if they talk of accountability, they need to involve the community, because the budget was made for that what, but no services are rendered to that what. The other issue is, in their offices, they plan for easy things where money can be stolen. People don't have water, somebody is making pavement. People don't have roads, he's making a walking pavement for the people. But there are no gravel in areas where we need gravel. I would like to beg SAFM to go to Kwakwa. There's a tar road on the Elizabeth Hospital Road. They do it this month. When they move to the other side, the first side is damaged.
Okay, I'm going to move on. I hear you. I need to get to other calls. Please, I'll tell you what, drop us an email, feedback@safm.coza, with the full story. Let's see if we can pick it up. feedback@safm.co.za. Anonymous, thank you for that. There's more to come. There's lots of WhatsApp comments, and there's a few more calls, as you are very much in touch with the National Pulse.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
Right, this message is brought to you by Chuba, the proud operator of the National Lottery. So Mzansi, listen to this, 133 million rands in total guaranteed Powerball and Powerball Plus. Jackpots could change your life today. Well, play Powerball for the guaranteed 70 million rands, then Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 63 million rands. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.coza, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Chuba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so from Cape Town to Kwakwa to wherever else we go to Polokwane now. JJ, hi.
Ashraf, good day.
Good day. Yeah.
In 1977, Oliver Tambo said to the ANC, your enemies have done something very good, which you need to go and learn from them. It was not a secret; it's a public thing. He came back in 1991 on the public platform in Durban. He indicated that the apartheid government has so many things good that they have done, and he urged the delegates there to go and learn what they have done. Mandela, the well-known Mandela, he said the very same thing, and even went further to stand on the stage with de Klerk and say, this is a good man, they have done something good and we will need to learn from them. Take the good thing and leave the bad thing. Today, President Ramaphosa is on that queue. He is saying, go and learn how they do it. He is not saying, go and vote them. He says, go and learn how they do it. And we need to learn how they do it.
Okay, so
when he says that, it means the municipal managers, the CFOs, are the people who will go from municipal to municipality and learn and benchmark.
Thank you. I think you've given us a fascinating examples, and I'm sure half the nation's listening say, is he right? Is he not right? Thank you for that, JJ. Right, let's pick out some We're going to get to some of the, we'll get to WhatsApps just now. Stembiso in Cape Town, hello.
Yes, hello, Ashraf. I'm just calling from Cape Town in connection with what the president said yesterday.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm listening to people what they've been saying. They've been talking, they are going on about the president shouldn't have said this, decampaigning the ANC and so on. But it is a fact that the president knew that there are cameras in front of him, and they are taking all what he is saying to the broader public of South Africa. So, in a way, he was telling South Africans that you shouldn't be voting ANC because you know how bad they are. You should be voting DA if you want services. That is all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's how you interpret it, right? Right, another interpretation maybe. Everybody wants to talk about one person only, Ramaphosa. I can say, let's talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Like, no, we're not interested. Or Donald Trump. It's all about Ramaphosa. Tabiso in Free State, go for it.
Good afternoon, Ashraf.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I think the president has to be straight and tell them as it is. You know, sometimes if you love somebody, be brutally honest to the person and show the person the truth. Because if you keep on turning and going around circles, you are not going to get the point. Because the ANC has spoken on how councillors must work and do. But on contrary, they do opposite. Because they don't get to be told. Somebody in the high echelons of power needs to tell them, you are doing your work not in a way that it's supposed to be done. Because Auditor General's report does not favor you. Because your institutions that you are giving governance to are not complying with the processes of responding to the Auditor General's queries. There are simple things that institutions must do. Follow the process, supply the documentation, and ensure you provide service on top of that.
Okay.
You will be at the point of being a better administration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Got it. One line. Done. Thank you very much for that, Tabiso in Free State. Right. The majority of the other callers effectively all reflect the same issues that moves the national pulse.
Ashraf, what if it was someone else within the ANC who was saying all these things that Ramaphosa is saying? You know, they would have disciplined him or her, you know, how they work. Yeah, but, you know, ANC is dying. So, yeah, they must just step down. Martin, Johannesburg.
That's Martin.
Hey, Ashraf and all SAFM listeners, good afternoon. We have been saying that Ramaphosa has been bought to come and destroy the democratic revolution, and now the tale is out there to be seen by everybody. You know, his utterances are in fact a sabotage of the ANC ahead of the local government elections. And it could be viewed in that way only, that he is actually not the ANC that people thought he was. That's Andile from Stakespruit in the Eastern Cape, near Lesotho borders.
Hey, Andile's got some strong words there. Sabotage of the ANC. I mean, we don't have any facts to say that, but he certainly did say what he said about the DA. By the way, I mean, if you're part of the ANC inner circle, I mean, is this grounds for being called up for a disciplinary action? I mean, I'm asking you. I don't know.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Emmanuel Mtore in Durban. And it is said that in South Africa, if you tell the truth, you talk the truth, people don't like you. Just like Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa was telling the truth that DA-run municipalities are doing well, are well run, and that the ANC councillor should learn from DA. You see now, for Ramaphosa's utterances, that means for us as voters, we need to shift our vote and vote for DA for better government. Ramaphosa has spoken. Thank you very much.
I certainly don't think that was the plan. I mean, really speaking, some of you may be taking it too far, or not.
Hi, Ashraf. It's Roland in Pretoria here. I'm listening to your listeners talking about President Ramaphosa. I think he should be praised for celebrating some of the work that DA does, not because I like the DA party, because he actually shares this government of national unity with them. Shouldn't he be allowed to praise people that he's sharing the job with?
I'll leave it to you to decide, as per the conversation we had earlier. Be reflective of the reality, but do you tell people go and learn from others? That is profound, the big question. And within ANC circles today, not on the air, but privately, what are you talking about? Over supper, in closed caucuses, what are you guys talking about regarding your president? Think about it. By the way, we'll have podcasts of all the significant conversations we've had today. So go to the website, safm.co.za. Please download it. Download, listen, share as well, okay? And share it to your networks and debate it as well. Thanks for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Here's the news with Greg.
Thank you again, Ashraf. Citizens weigh in on Matlanga probe and the Trumps head to the UK. Good evening. Some people in Durban feel the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry into Criminality and Corruption in the justice system, which gets underway in Johannesburg tomorrow, will not make a difference in their lives. It was set up by the president following allegations of politicians and senior police officials being involved with crime syndicates. The KZN Police Commissioner, Nchasha Mkhwanazi, made allegations implicating the police minister since